But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be okay.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. And hello to all of you who might also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? It is Thursday night, and that's one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. We stream this show live Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. And we stream on Facebook, DLive, and YouTube. And we stream live on The Fringe FM. As I said, this show's live. If you want to be part of the show tonight at any point, give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can join the Discord as well. We have a live Discord running, and if you want the Discord link and the phone number, you can find both at troubledminds.org. Troubledminds.org, that's the official website. And what is the show about? Well, the show's about you, really. This show is about all those things that we're not allowed to talk about, basically. I like to say it's aliens, it's conspiracy, it's the paranormal. I also like to add that it's the government, it's academia, it's the 24-hour news cycle, and of course, propaganda. And that odd feeling that we live in some form of the upside down. That's really what this show's about. And when I say it's about you, I mean that it's about your reality and the fight for your actual reality. As you know, fake news is, can I say it? Proliferating. Is that the word? It sounds like that might be the word. Like fake news is running amok. Let's say that. Let's dumb it down to Michael Strange style. It's running amok. It's out of control, is what it is. And it doesn't take much to really tune into anything and find out. Like I said, just go turn on a mainstream source, pay attention for just a little while, and you'll see they're trying to pull something over on you. They're trying to leave out details. They're trying to spin this and do that, and straight up change your mind by lying to you. Right. And of course, they do this with repetition. And as we all know, and if you don't know, let me explain. The most simple form of brainwashing is repetition. So we have the mainstream sources doing what they do, meaning that they're lying to us. They're spinning these stories. They're leaving out critical details. And then they repeat it over and over and over again. Literal, real-time brainwashing coming through the television set. And this is okay, right? Like, we've come to accept this. This version of the upside down that I mentioned, that I talk about, this is normal now. This is, there's the term. This is our new normal, right? This is our new normal. And not only that, it's happening so often and so much, pretty much on every medium you can even consider being a thing, that we've accepted this as real, as we've accepted it. We've accepted this. And so the point being, in a roundabout way, the point I'm trying to make here is that this show is about you and your reality. That's exactly what this is about. And so, meaning that we have, or we should have, the ability to choose our own realities, right? We should be able to decide what is real and what is false. And given that we live in a free society, most of us, that we should be able to be wrong. We have the right to be wrong. And that's what this show is about. And we talk about all the things the mainstream media won't touch, right? And they'll cover it, you know the story. You know how they put it out there for like 30 seconds, in like a whole 24-hour news cycle. They'll put it out there for 30 seconds when there's some pertinent news happening. They'll literally put it out there just before a commercial break so they can say, oh, yeah, we covered it. And then it's back to the brainwash, back to the brainwash, back to the brainwash. And so this show is hopefully the opposite of that. We look at interesting news. We look at all those things, aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, all this stuff, right? That is part of life. Sometimes it may be a good story. Sometimes it may be linked to a news, part of the news cycle. But it's about your reality. I firmly believe you should be able to choose and decide, and that's what this show's about. You decide your reality, and that's what's up. All right, so like I said, as we do this show, you'll have to excuse me, my I'm being messed with by the technocracy, the technocrats. They're getting to me. I just everything's logging out right at showtime, and so my menus are all over the place. I'm a little all over the place. So I'll catch up to you guys chat in a sec. Don't worry about that. I'll catch up and come say hi. But this is the thing, right? So we are streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and DLive, like I said, and we're reading the chat. So if you guys are there and you're doing your thing, we'll come say hi in just a minute. And there we go. All right. And one more time, 702-957-1037. That's the phone number. Troubledminds.org. That's the official website. You can find the phone number and the Discord link there. All right, let's get started. After the whole, I feel like the thing is, right, so many new people are finding us on an everyday basis that I have to explain. I just feel like I have to explain what the show's about, because if I don't, right, people get the wrong idea. They literally get the wrong idea that this is just another propaganda news outlet, because I'm going to start with the news. I'm going to start with what's in the news today. All right, so if you just get in your car, you turn on the radio, and you're listening to this, and you're like, oh, crap, just another knucklehead on the news. No, no, hang tight. We are not that at all. Here we go. Let's start with this. This is reported today by the Daily Beast. If you guys have been paying attention to the news, then you know there's a whole lot of news pouring out right now regarding, well, let's just read the headline. This is from the Daily Beast. And the headline is this: Pentagon blames Russia for strange sicknesses that hit U.S. troops. And this is one we've been following for quite a while, actually. This is not. This is nothing to be laughed at. This is one of those things where I think we really need eyeballs on this. We need people paying attention, because this is the type of thing that changes your reality, right? This is exactly the type of thing. And I'll explain in a sec. Not too long ago in Cuba, there was and actually just read from the article. They'll do it better than I will. But okay, so I'm linking the sources in the chat, guys. As always, I want you to be a part of this and understand that where my sources come from, as always. So I'm going to link these in the chat. You can follow up on me. Don't take anything I say as gospel or even correct. I'm just doing my best to kind of parse this and make sense of it. But here we go. This is the news today. Since 2016, nearly 50 U.S. diplomats, United States diplomats in Cuba and other countries have been hit with the so-called Havana Syndrome, which is a mystery illness with symptoms like ringing in the ears, loss of hearing and balance, and headaches. But according to a Politico report, Politico, like the news outlet, a Politico report, U.S. troops in the Middle East have been targeted. Citing unnamed sources, the report says Pentagon officials believe Russia is the most likely the mastermind of multiple directed energy attacks on troops since last year. Now, think about that term. All right. In the conspiracy world, right, in the conspiracy circles, people have been talking about directed energy weapons for a very long time. And not only that, they've equated them to have forest fires and some other things. I don't know. I'm not willing to go that far. Let's look at the evidence we have and what they're talking about today. All right. I'm not going to do that. If you guys want to think that, you're welcome to. Again, like I said, it's your reality. You choose what's true and what's false in the post-truth era. All right. So back to this. Directed energy attacks. And Russia is most likely the mastermind of these multiple directed energy attacks, or DEW's directed energy weapons, on troops since last year. In one of these several incidents, military personnel in Syria developed flu-like symptoms. Does that seem suspicious and interesting and relevant to, I don't know, maybe what's happened in the past year, let's say? I'm not going to say the words because, they're out there listening. You know who's listening as they transcribe every word that comes out of my mouth. But isn't that suspicious? In one of several incidents, military personnel in Syria developed flu-like symptoms from these directed energy weapons. All right. And investigators passed their findings on to lawmakers, but cautioned that attribution can be hard because there is no physical evidence of a weapon. Well, quote, here we go. This is from Jeffrey Lewis, a national security expert at Middlebury Institute. He says, quote, "We still have no idea what the hell is going on at the embassy in Cuba. Those people have been reporting all those symptoms for years. And the question is, are they being targeted? Is this some eavesdropping equipment that's having an effect on them? You just don't know. You just don't know." And like I said, we've been actually following this story for years now. Years. It's been years since this first actually happened. We were still doing the show. Like I say, this show was just greater than 3 years old at this point. And a couple years back, we were talking about this when it actually hit the news cycle for the first time. When they were talking about these, I think they were calling them acoustic weapons at the time, right? And it changes. Of course, this is why it's important to actually have more than a goldfish memory, right? More than a TikTok memory. Because the mainstream media, what they're going to do is they're going to just flood all the way in the search index, all the way down, maybe, so the relevant things from a couple years back disappear. They could be 1,000 pages down and we will never find them because they don't want to be found. You see? Like, there are people behind these things hiding information. And me, myself, well, my memory goes past a 24-hour news cycle. And so if you recall, a couple years back, there were diplomats at the Cuban embassy, and they called it some sort of acoustic attack. And they didn't know exactly where it was coming from, and there was speculation then, okay? But now, we're talking about not just acoustic weapons or microwave energy weapons, which is where it went. Now we're talking about directed energy attacks, direct energy weapons, as it were. Now, does that terrify anybody? There's a term for this, and I think we're going to get to that in just a little bit as we talk about this tonight. But that term is, of course, silent weapons for quiet wars. Anybody ever heard that term? Yeah, I had to brush up on it. It's been a long time. since I actually kind of cruised across that in conspiracy circles and Reddit threads and different places years ago. But now it certainly means something entirely different, does it not? Something entirely different. Here, I'm going to put this back up top so you guys can see what I'm reading. So Pentagon blames Russia for strange sicknesses that hit U.S. troops. All right, so let's go back. So I dug deep and I went back to where 2 years ago when they were talking about this, what was going on. So let's go back to the AP that reported this in January of 2019, and let's hear what they said then. All right? Part one, talking directed energy weapons. They're saying now, but let's see what they said in 2019. The AP reported this in January, 2 years ago. Action.
Attacks on Americans in Cuba have discovered abnormalities in their brain as they've been searching for answers for how these patients developed all kinds of symptoms ranging from neurological to vision and cognitive problems. The doctors have found changes in the white matter tracks. White matter in the brain acts like highways of information that lets different parts of the brain talk to each other. These are the most specific medical findings to date that doctors have been able to come up with, showing that whatever harmed the Americans in Cuba, it led to discernible, measurable changes in their brain. Investigators still don't know what kind of device or weapon could cause these types of changes in the brain. And outside experts tell the AP that acoustic waves or sound has never been shown to change white matter tracks. They also say it's very unusual to see changes in the white matter without also seeing changes to the gray matter, neurons that process information in the brain.
Okay, did you catch that? So not only is this some sort of silent weapon that's being used at an embassy, it's actually changing the brain. It's actually changing the matter inside of your brain. And there's various symptoms. Some of this is, again, headaches. Some of this is lost memory. Some of this is flu-like symptoms. You see what's going on here? And this is real. This isn't from some dystopian novel. This isn't from a Black Mirror episode. This is from the Daily Beast. Today. Shout out to Alexandra out there. She actually pointed this out to me a week ago and said this would probably be a good topic for the show. I said, yep, I think we're going to have to get to that at some point. And then today, in the news, this comes pouring out. Let's go to the Politico article. Now, this is the exact one that everybody's sourcing, okay? This is where this came from, and I'm going to link this again so you guys could check it out. Again, I appreciate if you follow my sources, if you go read these things as well so you can see the entire context of what I'm talking about. It's important. It's very important that you know where this information came from. I'm not just making it up, but here we go. This is where this came from. This is from Politico. All right, and the headline here is very similar to the other. Pentagon investigated suspected Russian directed energy attacks on U.S. troops. Directed energy weapons. What's the term? A silent weapon for a quiet war. And we'll get to that document in a little bit if you guys have heard that term. If you have not, you're probably in for a treat. A horrifying treat, because there's some really terrifying stuff that goes along with this. But here we go. This is straight from the article today, and this is today, April 22nd at 4:30 a.m. Eastern Time. The Pentagon has briefed top lawmakers on intelligence surrounding suspected directed energy attacks against U.S. troops, and officials identified Russia as a likely culprit, according to two people with direct knowledge of the matter. The Defense Department had been investigating the incidents, including those targeting its personnel around the world since last year, according to 4 former national security officials directly involved in the probe. Since last year, I think that timeline is off because I have a news article that I just played from the AP from 2019. That's a couple years ago, is it not? And we're talking all the way back to 2016. So I can assure you an investigation has been going on quite a bit longer than that. But it is curious how they frame these things, right? So an investigation has only been going on since last year, right? Well, let me play the second part of this, which actually is from 2 years ago, 2019, from the AP. And this directed energy attack that was used, this was, of course, it got the most press from being used in an embassy in Cuba. And it's actually been called the Havana Syndrome as a result of that, right? Okay, but this goes all the way back to 2016 as far as we're told. And it could be longer than that. But here we go. Let's go to part 2 of this from the AP. And this is what they're talking about. And this is important because notice how it changes. And I'll tell you what they concluded back in 2019, by the way, when they were talking about this. So here we go. 2019, January, the AP reports this, part 2.
The U.S. says 24 American government workers in Havana were hit by unexplained attacks in their homes and in some cases hotels. Almost all of the Americans heard some unexplained sound and then later developed symptoms. Some of those symptoms included hearing loss, cognitive problems, memory and balance issues, and even eyesight problems. The U.S. says it still doesn't know who's doing this, but as it learns more about what's happened to these victims, they're learning more about how to treat potential cases in the future.
With white matter damage, there can be all sorts of behavioral or sensory or motor problems because the white matter is what really allows the entire brain to communicate with itself. Damage to the white matter can cause changes in thinking. It can cause sensory changes in some cases. It can cause changes in movement or speed or thinking abilities in general. So typically when we talk about white matter damage that might be due to sound, we're talking about major explosions or what we call blast injuries. And so if someone is in a battlefield, for example, and there's an explosion near them, the massive sound waves can indeed disrupt the white matter and change the subtle microstructure of the white matter. And that's been documented. I'm not aware of anyone who's ever shown sort of more focused or subtle sound-related damage.
Okay. You hear that? So not only, again, is this what are called directed energy attacks, is what they're calling them today. People in the conspiracy world have called these directed energy weapons, all right, and said that they were using them to do all kinds of nefarious things. But in this case, we're talking about using directed energy weapons against people. And not just against people like, bam, you're dead, like a death ray of sorts. This is permanent, as far as we're aware, permanent cognitive function. Impaired, possibly partially destroyed, hearing loss, memory loss, all these things, right? And they're using this covertly, quietly, in the dark of night, as it were. Now you tell me, if you're using these things to hit diplomats in a, right? What would an actual embassy be, right? Is that a kind of like a no-fire zone? Is that kind of like neutral territory, right? Is it kind of like, there's an understanding? Yeah, I don't think so. Not if you're firing directed energy weapons through walls at diplomats from neighboring countries. No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. And so, again, what makes this terrifying is that you got to believe that this is a test. What do they call something like this? Not just a test. This is not a test of the emergency broadcast system. This is a gain of function exercise. And if they're using them on diplomats, of course, collecting data, seeing how the press reacts, what do you think is next? Who do you think can be affected by these things if we do not know the source, we do not know when it was fired off, and we do not know, for weeks maybe, who actually has symptoms? There's a lot here that's really, really terrifying. And that's what we're talking about tonight. Yeah. This hit the news. This hit the news today, and that's what's on deck. Do you want to be a part of the show tonight? The number to call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, and we are talking about the Pentagon investigating suspected directed energy attacks on our troops and on our diplomats. What do you think about this? Love to hear from you. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and DLive. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. I'm your host, Michael Strange. Tonight, we are talking about the Pentagon investigating something they are calling directed energy attacks on U.S. troops. And I think it really adds up to that term that kind of keeps coming around from time to time as we discuss these things. Silent weapons for quiet wars. And the more you look into this, the more you realize the implications of what this might be, the more terrifying this becomes. So if you want to be part of the show tonight, looking to hear from you, you can give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And that's what's on the docket tonight. Like I was saying before we took a quick break there, is that the horrifying part about all of this is they're using these things against our troops abroad, and against diplomats, okay? Now, we don't know the source of the weapon. It's under investigation, as they say. All right? Which has been under investigation for several years now, because we've been covering this story for several years. But as of today, these articles are brand new today. This Politico one, the one from the Daily Beast, this Yahoo one, I'll bump over to that. And they're all sorting back to this Politico piece, all right? Now, okay, here we go. So I'm going to put this in, put the link in so you guys can follow it. This is from Yahoo News, and they are all sourcing this Politico article, right? And here we go. U.S. troops increasingly vulnerable to directed energy attacks, Pentagon tells lawmakers. And this is from Yahoo. So I think this is, now like I said, the most horrifying part is they're testing this. They're testing this, all right? And you know why they're testing this? Just use your imagination, right? They're testing these horrific weapons that have a silent source. You don't even know when they're being deployed, which means they can wait till you go to sleep. They turn this sucker on. It's not even loud enough to wake you up. And when you do wake up, you have brain damage. Do you understand what's going on with this? So not only are they doing this to our, again, troops and to our actual diplomats, what do you think they're setting this up for? What do you think this is a test for? Do we even know how large the radius of this weapon is? For instance, could you hit a whole city block with this? For instance, what is the range? Could you shoot somebody miles away? And think about those things. The wider the net, the more damage you can do, and not just damage, silent damage to unwitting people. Do you understand what's going on here? So what exactly are they testing for? I think that's the most horrifying part. And now here's the thing. Like I said, we've been covering this for years now, right? We've been covering this for years. And it goes back to 2016, okay? 2016. And so the reason it's back in the news today is because the Pentagon has come out and said that they're actually using these directed energy attacks, all right? And that's what they're calling them. But first, it was some sort of actual acoustic attack. They said it was some sort of sound attack, all right? And then they said, maybe a year later or so, they said it was a microwave attack. But now they're throwing all that out because they're calling it a directed energy attack. Now, here's the thing. Check this out. So since, like I said, since my memory actually goes a little further than just a 24-hour news cycle, look what they reported. Look where this came from. Now, in let's see, what date is this? This is January of 2019. January of 2019. Now this seems absurd. This seems absurd. When this came out, we of course covered it, and I couldn't stop laughing. This is laughable to me. This is absolutely laughable here. They determined in 2019, in January, this is from the USA Today, and here's the headline. Remember that mysterious attack on U.S. diplomats in Cuba? Scientists think it was crickets. Yeah, crickets. Okay, we're talking about, now they're calling it a directed energy attack, right? That's what they're calling this. It hit the news cycle today on Politico. But look at this. 2019, remember that mysterious attack on U.S. diplomats in Cuba? Scientists think it was crickets. Crickets. Yeah. You heard that right. Crickets. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? I couldn't believe it then. I thought it was the most absurd thing I'd ever heard in my entire life. This is crickets now. Again, this is from 2019. Here we go. Specialists said the symptoms described by those afflicted as buzzing, grinding metal, piercing squeals, and humming were similar to the brain dysfunction caused by concussions. All right. The U.S. government personnel in Cuba reported hearing these weird, loud sounds, along with feelings of changes in air pressure in homes owned and maintained by the Cuban government and hotel rooms. Although there had been no history of head trauma, the symptoms reported were consistent with brain injury. Now listen, this is really weird. This article, again, goes back to 2019. Like I said, I'm going back in time a little bit to look and see about what they told us these things were a couple years ago. Because, of course, right, people forget these things. So I'm going to remind you. 2 years ago, it was crickets. Not only that, here's the weird part. The government in personnel in Cuba reported hearing weird, loud sounds along with feelings of changes in air pressure in homes owned and maintained by the Cuban government. Now explain to me this, please. Which cricket changes air pressure in your house? Anybody? Anybody? Has anybody got one single cricket that DARPA didn't make that changes the air pressure in your house? Just curious. Open lines, 702-957-1037. If anybody has an idea of a cricket that could cause brain damage, change air pressure in your house, and now, years later, is called a directed energy attack. How absurd is this? Is this the propaganda news cycle we're supposed to believe when they say that brain damage caused at the Cuban embassy was by crickets? Get out of here. Here we go. Now here's where this came from. Some U.S. officials suspected the health attacks were intentional, perhaps perpetrated by the Cuban or Russian governments. This is from 2019. But new research has implicated another culprit in the noise: very loud crickets. Straight from the article. Scientists analyzed a recording of the sound reportedly related to the incidents released by the Associated Press in 2017. See how far back this goes? 2017. And found it matched the chirp of the Indies short-tailed cricket, with the fancy scientific name that I'm not going to try and pronounce. Quote, in duration, pulse repetition rate, power spectrum, pulse rate stability, and oscillations per pulse. It matched this particular Indies short-tailed cricket. Right? Okay. This particular kind of cricket, by the way, straight from this USA Today article, is typically found in the Caymans, Florida Keys, and Jamaica, but researchers Alexander Stubbs of the University of California, Berkeley, and Fernando Montalegre of the University of Lincoln in England believe they may also be present in Cuba. Well, that solves everything, doesn't it? I mean, hell, now we don't even have to worry about the directed energy weapons. We just need to protect ourselves from crickets. Really? Now, this is what I'm talking about when I literally bash on the 24-hour news cycle constantly. This is what they tried to tell us 2 years ago. Crickets. Like, you got to be kidding me, right? Like, sure, I can buy the possibility that maybe they use the sound of crickets to maybe mask the original sound if it was an acoustic weapon. I can buy something like that. But to suggest that brain damage, flu-like symptoms, air pressure changes in the place you're living in, and then long-term effects that you really don't even know have hit you yet are caused by crickets, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. It's literally one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. And this is reporting today. This is not today. Actually, it's from January 7th, 2019. Remember, and so in the clip we heard, it changes your brain matter, right? It changes, it actually causes memory loss. Here, let's just play a couple clips. Now, this is from CNN. This is from CNN in 2020. So this is a year ago, right? A year after this ridiculous cricket stuff. If you're just joining us, we are talking about this Pentagon blames Russia for strange sicknesses that hit U.S. troops. All right, that's what we're talking about. And not only that, they're calling it a suspected directed energy attack coming from Russia. So I went back in time a couple years and checked out what they were talking about then, and they called it crickets. All right? 2019, January, this ridiculous article from USA Today said that these things are crickets. Right? Okay, so anyway, let's go to what CNN says in 2020 regarding this exact same thing. All right? Now, weird that a lot of these symptoms seem to not have changed, right? It probably got worse over time for these people that were afflicted by this. And we've known a lot about this since it happened, all the way back to 2016. So they're saying it's been under investigation for a year. I highly doubt that. It probably happened the second this went down, right? But anyway, here we go. Here's what CNN had to say. This was from, let's see, a year ago, 2020. Here we go. CNN regarding the mysterious attacks that happened in Cuba on diplomats. Part 1, CNN, a year ago, action.
A major medical study finds those so-called sonic attacks experienced by American diplomats working at the U.S. Embassy in Cuba actually changed their brains and did so in some fairly significant ways. This comes to us from a study out of the University of Pennsylvania's medical school. It was just released. The problems U.S. Embassy workers complained about, though, began back in 2016. They started, you may recall, with reports of hearing intensely loud sounds. CNN senior national correspondent Alex Marquardt is going over these findings. So what else did these Penn researchers find, Alex?
Well, Erica, what is clear here is that the symptoms that the doctors studied don't match up with any specific disorder that they know. So now, almost 3 years later, we don't know who was behind it. We don't know what caused it. But what we do know, what is very clear from the study, doctors say, is that something did happen to the brains of these people at the embassy. And what they did was study 40 different officials. They studied their brain scans. They carried out MRIs. And they compared those to 48 control cases to get a sense of what was different in the brains of those officials. And what they found, according to the author, one of the authors, was that there were group differences all over the brain, they said. They called these variations in brain structure and functional connectivity, which includes whole brain white matter volume. The conclusion, the authors say, is that something happened and we need to look further. So something happened to their brains. One of the problems with this study is that they didn't have access. There weren't MRIs for these same 40 people from before these attacks, so you couldn't really do it before and after. But essentially, in layman's terms, Erica, if the doctors say that if you brought these 40 people into a brain injury clinic and told the doctors to study their brains without knowing what had happened to them, it was as they would assume that these people had been in a bad car crash or in an explosion in the military.
Did you hear that? It gets better, or I'm sorry, worse, as the case may be. So not only are there's these symptoms of disorientation, memory loss, flu-like symptoms. Now we're saying that if you took these people and put them in and tried to diagnose them like you didn't know what happened, it would appear that they were in some sort of military explosion or car accident. Do you see? This continues. So some sort of concussion effect, right? Sonic concussion or directed energy or whatever the heck is going on with this. So what are these things? What are these things? And again, why in the world is our media all over the place? Like, they should be embarrassed for trying to describe this and make it go away by saying it was crickets. Really? I mean, somebody in the chat said that's as bad as swamp gas for UFOs. And that's completely true. Okay, crickets, swamp gas, got it. But really, like, these are the types of things that our press want us to believe. So what were they hoping? That it would disappear and never come back in the news cycle with the cricket explanation? Explain this to me, because I'm very confused. But, like I said, the most terrifying part is the gain of function. What is the range of this thing? Is it able to hit multiple people? Right? What kind of area-wide effect does it have? Could you take a whole neighborhood out with this? There's some terrifying implications here, especially since you don't even know when it's been turned on. As a matter of fact, for all I know right now, somebody could have just turned on one of these devices in my neighborhood. And what the hell will I know until I wake up tomorrow with brain damage? Do you see how horrific this actually is? These are the types of things that we should be terrified of. We should demand answers immediately. And look, it's been years, and we don't know a damn thing about it. And now the Pentagon is blaming Russia, and they're saying it's a directed energy weapon. Actually, directed energy attack, right? I added the weapon because, well, they probably didn't want to use that term. DEW, directed energy weapon. But okay, right? So I can bang my fist and talk about how terrifying this is. What do you guys think this is? Why do you think 2 years ago the media tried to tell us it was crickets? Why do you think it's hitting the news cycle now? Because, of course, right? This is a leak like any other leak. They selectively leak these things. Now they want to blame Russia for this. I'm not saying it's not Russia, but I am saying when things hit the news wire, there's usually a reason. So what is the reason? I don't know. This is not the answer show. This is the question show. And I pose the question to you. What do you think this stuff is? How long do you think this has been going on? What do you think the range of a weapon like this actually is? And should we be horrified? Lots of questions here, right? Because I think there's a lot of pertinent things to talk about regarding this topic that, again, gets kind of swept under the rug. We're talking about years we've known about this. Literally years we've been hearing about this. All the way back to 2016. Havana Syndrome, they call this. I call it brain damage. I call it an act of war. I call it many other things. Havana Syndrome and crickets? I'm sorry, that's not one of them. It is not among my list. I'm sorry. So I pose those questions to you. We are doing this live to include you. What do you think this stuff is? Give us a call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. I'm going to put the phone number up. And that's what we're talking about tonight. So the Pentagon has actually said today that they're investigating this thing that they call a directed energy attack. And this goes all the way back to 2016. We covered it way back when, and we covered it in 2019 when the media tried to tell us it was crickets, and we're covering it now when it's somehow back in the news cycle. So what? So we can escalate on Russia? So we can, what? I don't know. What's the point here? What's the point? There's clearly an obvious lie in the very first paragraph of this Politico article, because it says this: the Defense Department had been investigating the incidents, including those targeting its personnel around the world, since last year. That's a flat-out lie. Why would it take them? This happened in 2016. So are you telling me we had this happen to our diplomats, to our soldiers abroad, and it took them 2 years to actually launch an official investigation? No, that's a lie. Again, this is what I'm saying. The information we get from the press is laughable. And so I don't know what to think anymore. And I don't suggest you throw out the baby with the bathwater and say that, okay, it's all fake. No, I don't suggest that. I suggest we keep our minds engaged and try and find out what they're not telling us and why this is back in the news cycle. Yeah, no, we're not talking crickets tonight, not bugs. We're talking about these directed energy attacks. Here you go. I'll put up the article and link it again for those of you just joining us. That's what we're talking about tonight. So in 2016, they actually had these things, these attacks happen to our embassy, all right, in Cuba, and it caused brain damage. It caused all these other symptoms, right? It actually changed their brains. It changed their brains. The white matter in the brain, it changed. All right. So let's go to actually part 2. This is from CNN, and this is from 2020. This is a year ago. So now, 2016, this happened. 2019, they came out and said, "Oh, it was crickets." I'm gonna post that article again so you guys can see what I'm talking about, because it seems so ridiculous that when I say it and you hear me say it, you're like, "No way, no way!" Like, really? This is crickets now. Well, yeah, this is what they tried to tell us. So I'm going to link these things and you guys can check it out. But here we go. Right? What is going on with this if we're literally having the press try and explain this away as crickets in 2019? All right, so then we played from the AP, which is from this site actually that from the USA Today that they cited, but we're going to go to CNN now, and this is the second part of the CNN clip that came out in 2020. This was a year ago. So here we go, part 2. This is these directed energy attacks that the Pentagon today has said. Well, sources, quote, sources from the Pentagon, of course, because the Pentagon doesn't ever actually say anything, do they? They just leak things. But anyway, here we go. We're going to play this. Part 2 from CNN 2020, what they tried to tell us is going on with this.
There is a long list of symptoms that these doctors observed in these 40 people. I'm just going to list a couple of them. They include sharp ear pain, headaches, vertigo, disorientation, problems with memory, concentration, balance, eyesight, hearing, sleeping that lasted several months. They reported feeling mentally foggy or slowed for months. Now, Eric, as you noted, these attacks did start in late 2016. We have lumped them together, calling them sort of sonic attacks, but the range of what was heard by these embassy employees was wide-ranging. They described intensely loud sounds coming from a specific direction, buzzing, grinding metal sounds, piercing squeals, and humming. But doctors say it was not the sound that caused these injuries. That was those sounds that they heard, they say, was simply a result of the exposure. To what? We still do not know.
All right, so this is a year ago. This is in 2020, reported by CNN. To what? We still not know. We don't know what this is. And so now, today, the Pentagon is reporting, back to the original article here from Politico, Pentagon investigated suspected Russian directed energy attacks on U.S. troops. That's what they're saying today. So explain to me how in 2016 this happened to our diplomats in Cuba. Explain to me how this Politico article today says we just last year launched an investigation. Seems like we got some time travelers on our hands, don't we? Or do we just skip 2 years or 3 years of very important national security matters because we're worried about putting up a fence at the Capitol? You see what's going on here? The things that are going on, I do not like. I do not like them for many reasons. And I'll calm down. Settle down, Mike. I'd like to hear from you tonight. What do you think is going on with this directed energy attack that they're calling this? What do you think about them implicating Russia? What do you think about the cricket explanation from 2019? What about, interestingly, if you go back and listen to these news clips from 2019, 2020, and now, that some of the symptoms haven't really changed. They've added some, of course, because as time happens and you have brain damage, other symptoms arise. But what's going on? It seems like we've known an awful lot about this for a very long time. And for some reason, right now, it's finally back in the news cycle. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And so, that's what we're talking about tonight. What is going on with this? It just doesn't seem like, let's say it seems more than meets the eye. Love to hear from you. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're talking about the Pentagon and the suspected Russian directed energy attacks that they just announced today. It's been going on for years. If you want to be part of the show, I'd love to hear from you tonight. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. What is this? Somebody help me, because I'm trying to make heads or tails of this, and I absolutely cannot. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. Be right back.
So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. There are other forces at work in this world, Frodo, besides the will of evil. Bilbo was meant to find the ring, in which case you also were meant to have it. And that is an encouraging thought.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're streaming live on YouTube, DLive, and Facebook. If you want to be part of the show tonight, the number to call is 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. It's Thursday night, and that's one of the nights we do this show. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific, and we get together to talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the bizarre feeling that we live in the upside down. Interesting stuff going on in the news today. Sources from the Pentagon suggest that in 2016, there was an attack on a Cuban embassy. There was an attack against ambassadors, against American troops, against Canadians as well. And today, the Pentagon has suggested through these spokespeople, I like to call them leakers, selective leakers that like to manage a news cycle. That's what I like to call them. Because, of course, if it was a real leak, it would be a felony, would it not? And that would actually trigger an investigation. Well, funny. That only happens if the leak is unsanctioned. You know what I'm saying here? And this is the thing that drives me the most insane about all of this. Is, again, all the way back to 2016, this has been happening. Silent weapons for quiet wars. At least this in particular. That document, we'll get to that in the second half here as we go, but that document's from the 50s. And that's a pretty terrifying document. But anyway, let's get back to this. Looking to hear from you guys tonight. What do you think about this? What is this thing? This directed energy attack? Because they didn't say, notice the actual verbiage that's reported. I'm going to put up this article again. This is where this came from. Politico reported today. Pentagon investigated suspected Russian directed energy attacks on U.S. troops. Now, it's important to note, they didn't say directed energy weapons. Because, of course, that's a conspiracy hot button, is it not? The DEW, directed energy weapon. No, it's a directed energy attack. You see, right? You see the games they play in the press. You see the games they play as they leak this information, as they put it out there and try and tell us it's one thing when it's not, when it's another thing entirely. And if you remember, like I've been talking about tonight, and we'll continue to talk about tonight, all the way back to 2016, this went down. And in 2019, they tried to tell us it was crickets. I'm going to put this article up. Like I said, it is ridiculous for me to say it. It seems ridiculous. But in 2019, they told us, this is reported by USA Today. Headline is this: remember that mysterious attack on U.S. diplomats in Cuba. Scientists think it was crickets. Crickets. You know, crickets. Those things that chirp softly in the night. So apparently, here, let's play a clip. Here are some of the symptoms from this directed energy attack. And this is from this article in 2019, where they tried to explain it away as crickets. Now, listen to how this thing actually affected the people that were there. The diplomats, again, Canadian Americans that were there. There were both. And there were active military. Listen to what happened to them.
Attacks on Americans in Cuba have discovered abnormalities in their brain as they've been searching for answers for how these patients developed all kinds of symptoms ranging from neurological to vision and cognitive problems. The doctors have found changes in the white matter tracks. White matter in the brain acts like highways of information that lets different parts of the brain talk to each other. These are the most specific medical findings to date that doctors have been able to come up with, showing that whatever harmed the Americans in Cuba, it led to discernible, measurable changes in their brain. Investigators still don't know what kind of device or weapon could cause these types of changes in the brain. And outside experts tell the AP that acoustic waves or sound has never been shown to change white matter tracks. They also say it's very unusual to see changes in the white matter without also seeing changes to the gray matter, neurons that process information in the brain.
Okay, so you see what he said there. So back in 2019, this guy's telling us that these directed energy attacks, all right, because you have to be very careful about what you say and how you say it. The directed energy attacks, because far be it from these are directed energy weapons, right? Because that would be something very, very different, right? Shame, you can't use that word. But look, he said straight up that as far as they're aware, in 2019 when this report came out, and they tried to tell us it's crickets, that there's no known sonic acoustic weapon that could affect the brain in such a manner. And yet in the same article, right here on USA Today, January 2019, they're telling us it's crickets. So which is it? Like this is how insane the press is and how stupid they expect us to be. Number one, it's the crickets making the sound that causes the brain damage. And yet, he says, we have no reason to believe or never have seen in the wild or anywhere else acoustic weapons, audio itself, doing this kind of damage to the white matter in somebody's brain. Which, of course, right, if you're paying attention, it means it's not an acoustic weapon. This is not a sonic weapon. This is not audio. This is not somebody slamming a bass speaker next door. That's not what was happening here. You see? Now, there's more. It gets more terrifying. Listen to the rest of the symptoms and what happened and what they reported all the way back in 2019.
The U.S. says 24 American government workers in Havana were hit by unexplained attacks in their homes and in some cases hotels. Almost all of the Americans heard some unexplained sound and then later developed symptoms. Some of those symptoms included hearing loss, cognitive problems, memory and balance issues, and even eyesight problems. The U.S. says it still doesn't know who's doing this, but as it learns more about what's happened to these victims, they're learning more about how to treat potential cases in the future.
With white matter damage, there can be all sorts of behavioral or sensory or motor problems because the white matter is what really allows the entire brain to communicate with itself. Damage to the white matter can cause changes in thinking. It can cause sensory changes in some cases. It can cause changes in movement or speed or thinking abilities in general. So typically when we talk about white matter damage that might be due to sound, we're talking about major explosions or what we call blast injuries. And so if someone is in a battlefield, for example, and there's an explosion near them, the massive sound waves can indeed disrupt the white matter and change the subtle microstructure of the white matter. And that's been documented. I'm not aware of anyone who's ever shown sort of more focused or subtle sound-related damage.
Okay, you see that? So right there, this is actually from the same clip. This is the video clip that is right there in the middle of this article from the USA Today. This is, again, January 7th, 2019. Headline is this: remember that mysterious attack on U.S. diplomats in Cuba? Scientists think it was crickets. It just sounds so ridiculous to say. It's coming out of my mouth, and yet I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Do you believe it? Well, you shouldn't. It's literally as dumb as like somebody said UFOs and swamp gas, right? A sick explanation, science, and everybody wonders why when people say follow the science, people other types cringe. You understand what I'm saying? If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. I want to hear what you think about this. We have one call now. I want more. What do you guys think this is? Why did they tell us in 2019 these sonic attacks that became microwave attacks that are now direct energy attacks? You notice how it's morphed? Sonic, microwave, direct energy. Three very different things. We'll get into the differences in some of those things as we talk about this tonight. But what the heck? Why are they telling us these different things? And why crickets? Are you kidding me? Like, think about that. So the last report of this, or at least in 2017, it was crickets, and they wanted to put it to bed. But then it resurfaced again in 2019. These are leaks. These are selective leaks from different places in the Pentagon or in the intelligence communities or from Congress. Who knows where they come from? But these are leaks. And again, to push or change a news cycle. And that's the thing that disturbs me the most. So why'd this come out today? They're blaming Russia. Interesting, right? Let's go to this phone call. I want to hear from you. What do you think this stuff is? Why today? Why'd they try and tell us crickets in 2019? And what the hell is going on right now? That's what I want to know. 702-957-1037. TroubledMinds.org is the official website. You can find the phone number and the Discord link there. Get your ass to Mars. Let's go to this phone call with Rohan from the UK. How are you, my friend? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you?
Hey, buddy. I'm not too bad. How are you? Good.
Doing good, man. What do you think about this this crazy stuff? These sonic attacks. Why they tell us it's crickets? What is going on with this?
Well, the cricket thing stuck out for me because I thought that's what Mao Zedong used to say way back in the day. That's where masks come from, you know. That's why they started wearing masks, because he told all of the Chinese people that the Western devils have infected the country with disease insects. So they started going around collecting them all, being good citizens so they don't get shot. And then they all decided to start putting cloths over their faces, thinking that the diseased insects. When it wasn't true, everyone knows it wasn't true, but they've been wearing masks ever since. So I thought that was interesting.
And that's Mao's China, right? That's Mao's China, is what you're saying? Mao's China is what you're describing, there, right?
Mao's China, Chairman Mao. So I mean, he did that with the insects thing. So I thought, I wonder if that's just like taking it straight out of his playbook. But I don't know if you're familiar with the active denial system, like the microwave weapon they stick on the top of Hummers. They were using that in the Second Gulf War. I remember reading about that, and it uses microwaves, and it was the same thing. It just they were saying, it creates pain for crowd dispersal, but it violates the Geneva Convention because it's specifically designed to create pain. All right. So I was thinking, well, this stuff has been around for a while. I've been testing it for a while. It's kind of been here and there. We said a conspiracy, but at the minute, the whole theme seems to be scare everybody as much as possible for whatever reason. And I'm wondering if it's just that, just to scare people. On the negative side, but then another theory I had was on the positive side. There's all this talk of UFOs, so maybe this is a way of getting people familiar with like super sci-fi technologies. That was my couple of ideas.
And fear sells. Fear definitely sells. So, okay, you made a couple fantastic points here. Now check this out. You said that they were using these microwave weapons back in the Gulf War. So if this was they described in 2017 it was an acoustic weapon of sorts. 2019, it was a microwave weapon. 2020, they stuck with the microwave weapon, and now they're saying it's a directed energy weapon. So if it's any of those things, how come we don't know the symptoms? If we were using microwave weapons in the Gulf War, and of course for crowd dispersal, like you said, it burns the skin, all kinds of different things, right? How would we not know the symptoms of these things on human beings? Of course we would know, right? Of course we would know. So basically, what they're doing is giving us a fake reason, a phony name to something that they don't want us to know about, or they're just making stuff up. Because it clearly couldn't be an acoustic weapon. It clearly couldn't be a microwave weapon. And those are the first two things they told us, and it took 2 or 3 years for that to clunk out. Weird, right?
So I think it's all about muddying the waters. I mean, just look at how many times just like the CDC have contradicted themselves in 1 year. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, I think it's all about, I honestly think, personally, this is just me talking, I personally think it's all about scaring the crap out of people as much as possible, because I think we do have natural cycles, and I think we're headed into a renaissance period. And I think these psychopaths are just trying to stop it. And they're doing everything they can, because they know that through things like quantum mechanics, that we do influence. We are, and all the spirituality stuff says we're co-creators, and I think it's true, that we literally are. I think the more people's thinking aligns, that's what you get. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's about scaring everyone. That's just my view.
Yeah, like I said, fear sells. And I'm completely with you on that. I don't know if you caught this recently. Project Veritas actually went into CNN and kind of exposed one of their directors again, that recently said he was going to go with the next cycle news in the next quarter, I guess, or coming up soon, was going to be climate change. And they were going to just scare the pants off of people with climate change fake stuff. Like, fear sells. He straight up said fear sells, and it works. And they're gonna push the fear narrative for climate change. And so you're right. Fear completely sells. Sorry,
all
go
the
ahead.
seeds have planted as well. But that's it. You come, I mean, it was a global warming, wasn't it? And then they changed the term. Once the global temperature dropped by 2 degrees, there was, I can't call it global warming anymore. So they switched it to climate change, didn't they? Seed planted all of that. Wouldn't let, is it the IPCC, the infant, they wouldn't allow the signatures to the initial support. They wouldn't allow them to be retracted. Do you know what I mean? They've planted all these seeds for us, I think. I remember there was a story that they was saying that the New World Order managed to slow the planet down. Do you know what I mean? Because of like Fukushima and stuff and the detonator weapon. You get all these ludicrous things to make them seem so powerful. But I think in reality, if you talk to some of these officials that have worked with these people. In fact, there was a guy interviewing Russell Brand was interviewing recently. They're just like, they're only people, aren't they? They can still screw up. They can still have plans and they go wrong. And it's a long way from, it's a long way from saying something to things happening, I think. But at the same time, these technologies are there. We can start to find out how we work. So, if you don't mean we don't want to ignore it, we don't want to ignore it, do we, Michael?
No, heck no. No way. That's why we do this show, man. We're not ignoring this stuff. Like everybody else may. Like I said, you turn on CNN and Fox and they're still having their race war. They're still trying to stoke that fire, right? No, we don't buy that, right? And again, don't get me wrong, racism is very real, all that stuff, but we're just not trying to stoke that fire and make you guys hate each other as a result of it. There's some things going on clearly that are way more important than a lot of the stuff the mainstream is trying to tell us. And of course, well, I don't know, do you think an acoustic weapon or a direct energy weapon of unknown range, right, of unknown origin, do you think that, that causes brain damage overnight and you don't even know what's happening? You think that's important? You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, obviously, do you know what I mean? And I think back to that with sound and that as well. I mean, if people think, an acoustic weapon or something like that couldn't do that, I mean, look at sound. Look what sound can do. With different sound frequencies, man. You can take a tub of sand and you can make mountains form. You can make rivers form. You can make things that look like life forms start to move. And it's only sound doing it. You get the right frequencies. Everything's got a tone, hasn't it? Every single piece of matter has got a cymatic signature. It's got a pattern. So in fact, some of those Paleolithic Rogue Report, some of those Paleolithic paintings are actually like the cymatic patterns for ion and stuff. And you think well, how do they know what the cymatic 3D frequency image ends up being of ion and materials? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot to it, not to all of this, I think.
Yeah. So actually, I picked out some of the stuff that they're working on, like including like plasma. Hold on, let me give you a couple words here. We got a directed energy weapons timeline. The laser was invented in 1939. 1952, high-powered microwave technology. 1958, laser theory was released by Charles Towns. 1959, Russia claimed to have developed a microwave power anti-ballistic missile system. That's 1959, microwave power anti-missile system. 1972, the UK used laser weapons during the Falkland War. 1972, the US signed anti-ballistic missile treaty. 1985, Japan initiated development of laser and microwave weapons for defensive purposes. 1985, and that's the last one on this list. I'll link this just so you guys can check it out. Again, I love you to have my sources, so you see I'm not making this stuff up. What the heck? 1985. And now here we are, 2021, and we still don't know what's going on, right?
What about is it the Norway spiral? Was that 2008? When was Obama?
Yeah.
Is that year, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's just where my list ends. So my point is 1985. Then they were doing like actual microwave weapons for defensive purposes.
Oh yeah, and that's not even, none of that is including things like Thomas Townsend Brown, Raymond Rife. Do you know what I'm saying? They're like the Teslas of those specific fields of frequencies, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, what about all that stuff? Because that's really old. You know what I'm saying? And they don't talk about that, do they?
Yeah, no, of course not. And again, you start to see the point I'm trying to make here is clearly the things they've been telling us for several years about this Havana Syndrome, these acoustic attacks or microwave attacks or now direct energy weapons are not accurate whatsoever. It's all been a bunch of hooey and disinformation that's come through and again, exacerbated most by the crickets. Are you kidding me? Crickets.
I know. it really stands out for me though, because in terms of like you're talking about unreliable news, aren't you, basically? And but for me, it's interesting from my perspective, because I'm from Britain, and I've just got this mindset of we're accustomed to having terrible news. Do you know what I mean? We're accustomed to it probably being rubbish and a pinch of salt normally. Do you know, because Britain was like least trusted news in Europe for a long time. You know, well known for having just slanderous tabloids. I think we probably got a world-renowned reputation for it, but. So we're used to that until last year, and then all of a sudden, everybody trusts the government out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's all good timing to stuff into it.
It's all good timing. It is, and it is weird, is it not? It is all very strange. Rohan, you're the best, my friend. Final thought while we got you on the phone.
No, that's it. I really enjoyed the show, so that's why I'm here, stopping up till like 4:27.
I appreciate it. Thank you, all the folks in the United Kingdom that stay up late for us. I know there's plenty of you. We've got a whole crew over there that stays up late just to hear us. I'm honored by that. Thank you guys for being part of this, and thanks for calling tonight, my man.
Yeah, thanks so much. Nice to speak to you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rohan. Talk to you soon. That's Rohan from the Fringe FM chat. If you guys knew who I'm talking about, that's where you find him. Go to fringe.fm/chat. You can join the Discord there, and lots of smart people. Alexandra, by the way, actually inspired the show a couple days ago, sent me a link about this Havana Syndrome, and is just checking in the Fringe chat. Going to say hi. I shouted you out earlier. But this hit the news today. This Havana Syndrome is back in the news, and the Pentagon has basically said that they suspect these are directed energy attacks, and they're blaming Russia. Yeah, great call, Rohan. Good stuff. So again, right, just kind of going through what we know about weaponry of the 20th and 21st century. How come they're lying to us? How come the press is always lying to us? And how come it's always selective leaks through the Pentagon or somewhere else? It drives me nuts. This stuff drives me nuts, and somebody needs to pay attention. And so that's what we're doing here. We're paying attention and kind of looking at this. So we'll continue talking about this. And if you want to be part of the show tonight, you guys know what to do. That was the first call. It took a while. Usually we get lots more callers than that. I'm talking to you. If you can hear me, I want to know what you think this directed energy type stuff is. Why have they lied to us and called it an acoustic weapon first? Why have they called it a microwave weapon second, when we clearly both of those were not remotely true? And now they're calling it a directed energy attack. And we'll get into what that means in a little bit here. But you see, point is, they're lying to us. And the point is, I don't like it. I absolutely do not like being lied to about this. I hope you don't either, because these things are too important to the future of humanity. And I'm not exaggerating. Think about it. If you could turn on a weapon in the dark of night, the people affected by it have no way to know where it's coming from, and yet you wake up in the morning with brain damage. If that's not the most horrifying thing you've ever heard, I don't know what is. This is more scary than the boogeyman. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Give me a call. Love to hear what you think about this Pentagon directed energy attacks. Don't go anywhere. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Mike. Be right back.
The truth is out there, and so are we. KTLK, Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and DLive. We're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And what we're talking about tonight is this headline. I'm going to read it from Yahoo News this time. Pentagon blames Russia for mystery illness affecting U.S. troops. Back in 2017, they told us it was an acoustic weapon. In 2019, they said it was a microwave weapon. In 2021, also in 2019, they told us it may have been crickets. Crickets. I swear. I've got the links to prove it. 2021. Now they're telling us it's a direct energy attack and they're blaming Russia. What do you guys think about this? If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we've got a phone call. We're going to go straight to that. Love to hear from you guys after Tim. This is Tim from Georgia. Let's go. Let's press the button. You can do it, Mike. Press the button. All right. There we go. Tim from Georgia. Welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
What's going on, Mike? Can you hear me?
Perfectly, sir. Loud and clear.
Okay. I can hear you good.
Right on.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Well, I always try to draw on history and then plug that in the equation. And then I think from the perspective of Dr. Evil, if I had Spectre, I was up against James Bond, Swalwell, and Fang Fang, what I would do. And I would want weapons that were untraceable. And if I wanted to run a one-world government and frighten everybody and kowtow the entire world, I would do interesting things like the World Trade Center, Paradise, certain nuclear facilities in different countries, Beirut recently, and all these other strange places where this dustification process occurs, and tons of debris just instantly vaporize and are nowhere to be found. And like overnight, the rest of it can be dump trucked out, and it's like gone. So we have a history of incidences that all involved, last night's subject is directly tied to this in so many ways it's not even funny. How would you get UFOs involved with direct energy weapons? Well, alien false flag. If it came down to it, part of the silent weapons for quiet wars is actually to convince people, as many as they could possibly, of a fake alien invasion. And through that, they would use these new type of weapons, project thoughts in your heads. If you won't comply, they'll just microwave the crap out of you. They can make you sterile. They can make everybody feel like they got a third-degree sunburn and, like you've had a very long, overexposed day at the beach. You're getting sick from solar radiation from the long day at the beach, and they can make you feel just like that and even worse. They can even distort your chromosomes and make you die a few months later, 6, 8, 9 months later. There's actually still some YouTube videos up if you do some research. There's an old British Prime Minister who worked in the Royal Air Force and British Aerospace that talks about the microwave weapon systems they had back in the 80s that were used from satellites on crowd control, and the people were unaware. And the people would go out and demonstrate one day, but they wouldn't come back the next day or the day after that because they would all be at home with the symptoms of a runny stomach, feeling nauseous, and feeling like they had a sunburn, even though it might have been a cloudy day. It didn't matter. They were hitting them and emitting them with a signal. So we all know that any government will experiment on its people, and we see these different incidences throughout our modern history just within the last few decades. But if you go back to World War II, the Nazis had their Wunderwaffe, and they actually experimented on several major battles using sound weapon technology. Leningrad, several sieges, Stalingrad, and Sevastopol was the main one. And it included propaganda, information warfare, different types of music, but the important thing was they were trying specific frequencies of music and different kinds of music, and they learned a lot. And under Paperclip, we got a lot of those scientists that were involved with acoustic-type weapons, and the Navy had a program that ran back in the 80s and 90s because it became part of the whole money for dolphin scandal deal, Navy acoustic sound technology-based weapons. And it was based on sonars, because certain types of new powerful sonar was killing whales, was killing undersea life. And you had the Greenpeace movement and several other organizations get involved and blame our Navy for some of the testing of these systems, and it became a controversy that made it into the press. So you have so many organizations that have been involved with this, and it goes back to ancient China. In ancient China, they knew that they had to keep the same music in harmony in the same frequency in every province. If one of them got out of whack, the people would become unruly, and things did not go well. And it's well documented and well written. There's a lot of lot of published writings about it from Chinese scientists and Western scientists, and that's where the whole 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 thing comes from. That's a Chinese code, and it's a modern code, and it's a very serious one that people have been trying to break. And I don't want to say too much more about it other than it has everything to do with how a lot of people are feeling, with their stomach, with the dizziness, and some of the other symptoms you're getting. And my suggestion to you is unplug your Wi-Fi router, and more importantly, if you live real close to a very strong broadcast signal, there's different steps you can take to help shield yourself and knock down the amount of power you're receiving. And you should feel better when you do that, and that's just a good piece of advice. There's tons of material out there on that as well at different .orgs. You just got to learn to search in the right places and get the right search engine out there. And be careful how you word things. And just keep retrying.
You don't want to end up on a list, do you?
Different word combinations. Bust the algorithm.
Got to break the algorithm. Hey, so let me ask you, Tim. So what's going on with this whole thing, right? So number one, the timeline here is weird. Because, again, this happened in 2016. In 2017, they told us it was an acoustic weapon, some sort of audio weapon. And then in 2019, they tried to ascribe it to crickets. And then shortly after that, it was a microwave weapon. And then now 2 years later, so we have 2017 was acoustic, 2019 was crickets and a microwave weapon. And in 2021, now we have a direct energy weapon from Russia is what they're trying to tell us. What's going on with this, man? Why they change the story every couple years? And like Rohan said, they were using these microwave weapons back in the Gulf War. So how the hell do we not know the symptoms of these things? Clearly, we know the symptoms.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what the heck
we do it to them, they do it to us. That's I guarantee you at some point we're doing it to them. If they're doing it to us, we're doing it to them. And the only time we come out and admit that a foreign power is doing anything like that, whether the people think it's bogus or not, because we all want to distrust mainstream media, there's a reason why military and news sources would get together besides the politicians, is because they're trying to tell you something about your politicians, number one, when they do this. It's that your politicians are not informing you. Anything we've seen come to the press about it has always been off of C-SPAN the last couple of years, or like last year, the guy under Trump came out and admitted China was using directed energy weapons and now had them satellite capable, had them on ships and had them on planes, and we do too now. So it's a technology race. It's a space race. It's a peace race. It's every kind of race you can think of. And that's prevalent in everybody's mind. And that's part of how they accelerate everything through incrementalism and get you to buy into things that you really don't want to buy into. They're selling us all something we really don't want. And how do you do that when you're in their position by any means possible? That's why I keep saying at some point they will pull out the alien card and they'll say, look at these powerful weapons. There's nothing we can do to defend ourselves. If we don't comply, they're going to march us all out and exterminate us. And it may come to them actually pulling that out if there was riots in every state in our major cities because of the New World Order and globalism. You can bet that they would pull that card. They'll use any means at their disposal. Just look at the world wars we've had in the last 120 years. Both major world wars, especially World War I with the use of gas and chemical weapons for the first time on the battlefield in modern methods. And when you look at the horrors of that and then the horrors of World War II, especially with the dropping of both atomic bombs, I mean, come on. I mean, where's everybody going to think they're going to use this to do something good with it? Not probably really.
No, yeah, of course not. Of course not.
It's got medical applications, but
always weaponize it. Always looking to weaponize this stuff. Yeah, just that's part of the problem.
This is
yeah, sick stuff. So you said you did a show on this tonight.
Absolutely
too, right?
A weapon, man.
Yeah, totally a weapon. But I guess the thing that gets me the most is we have no idea what kind. So they're saying it's a directed energy weapon now. So I've got some stuff pulled up. We'll talk about plasma and some other stuff as we go on the show tonight. Like there's some other like actual by definition direct energy weapons that are like out there. They're space age, man. They sound like they're from Buck Rogers.
I think it's a. My personal belief is it's some form of particle projection cannon, and there's a lot you could do with that. You could tune it where it could have certain effects, fine-tune the frequency, have a top end and a low end. You could actually have many different ones woven into the same burst as a burst transmission from that weapon, but you could also turn it up and actually materialize plasma and just blow big giant holes through things like you wouldn't believe. And so the theory of it is actually sound, and it can be done small scale in a lab, particle projection. And but when you couple it with a couple of other things, and there's been a few scientists that have experimented around with this. One that's important that Dr. Judy Woods mentions in her program, I will just say go check that out on YouTube. Dr. Judy Woods, the 9/11 Symposium from 2012, and you'll learn a lot. And it has a lot to do with this. And you know, there's so many technical ways that you could draw this up and engineer this, and on a budget make these weapons possible. It's not funny because the source material is there to do it. It's out there. And it really wouldn't take a rocket scientist to do it. I mean, it's not that hard. You know, through some trial and error and experimentation, and just you would need the right test equipment. You know, definitely read the frequencies, what you're emitting. You know,
exactly.
Wouldn't be that hard to do.
Yeah, and so not only that, so let me get your speculation on this. Like I said, the most terrifying part about this is, what do you think the range is? And again, do you think, so they were using it at the embassy in Cuba, as far as we're aware. Clearly, they've probably been using it in different places, probably Russia, which is the link to Russia. But what do you think the range is, like in a wide net sort of situation? Well, like I said earlier, do you think they could actually melt an entire neighborhood with this?
Anywhere, because they're turning the building you're in into an acoustical device. So they can hear every word you're saying through the vibration, whether you're in a car, whether you're hiding under a tree, whether you're a half a mile underneath the ground. And that's just how good the technology is. And that's really, what those people are getting, the after effects, what they're really trying to do is eavesdrop and hear everything that's going on in the embassy, because they can't get bugs into it. They got the computer chips out under Trump, out of all the machines everywhere. So they can't do it that way, and they can't get into their phones anymore because of the way security's done at our places. So the only thing they have left to do is to go back to an old Soviet tried and true method that they were pulling on us in Moscow embassy back in the 80s, and that was to turn the building into one big bug by hitting it with a freaking satellite. And, you know, just saying, it's not like it hasn't been done before, my brother.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Looks like folks are at it again. And it distorts chromosomes, and it has wild effects on the brain because you have a lot of metals that end up going into your brain. And at these frequencies you're playing with, these variable frequencies you're playing with, I'm sure it is having an effect on people. You know, probably, yeah, like they've had some kind of bomb concussion. That's, you know.
That's gnarly. That is sick
work
stuff.
Around a high-powered magnet. Work around a high-powered magnet all day for like 12 hours, and sometimes I would go home and feel punch drunk. You know, I mean, not just from the labor part of it, but from being around that heavy-duty magnetic field running at 2.3 Tesla. Man, it's like, you know, you've been around some power. You can feel it. You can feel it through the floor. You can feel it through your body. And I used to wear an apron to help shield me from some things in the heavy transformer, but I mean, I definitely knew my brain had been fatigued, you know, due to being close to that magnetic field distortion.
Yeah, we're kind of electrical critters, right? I mean, we're electrical beings.
Yeah, we are. We're biomechanical electrical organisms, really.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what we are.
Yeah, this is sick. And so you said you did a show on this tonight, is that right? Did you do a show on this tonight?
What is it, Mike? Well, I brought it up. I actually brought up the same article that you did. I posted it just before you did in the Facebook chat, and I had still had it saved from my show earlier tonight.
Okay.
It caught my attention for a couple different reasons, mainly because of last night's show, and I wanted to touch on some UFO stuff tonight on my show a little bit and talk about Van Tassel. But I also wanted to point out the importance of is I still think there's life out there personally myself. And even though I always say it's us for a lot of good reasons, at the same time, there's some other things that I'm strongly led to believe by the evidence is there that, just saying, we may always want to look over our shoulder and maybe the problem's always been here. And maybe there was something actually to what Ronald Reagan was saying, but we're not maybe should be looking up. Maybe we should be looking down.
Yeah, he did say, is there not an alien presence here already? We just played that clip last night. I just cleared it from the thing, or I'd play it again to remind everybody. But yeah, you may be right, man. I think there's a lot here that
the giants.
We're not being told. Yeah, the giants, the biblical giants, right? The Nephilim. Who knows, man? Who knows? There's a lot about this. I appreciate you calling tonight. Final thought while we got you on the phone. We got to wrap up.
Thank you, Mike. Great show tonight, man. You've been tearing it up. Great show every night this week, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Thanks for contributing. Everybody follow Tinfoil Timothy on DLive. I've got his link at the bottom of our show after every show. So please go follow him. He's doing some really great stuff over there as well. And this is how we do it. We get together. We have smart people talk about important things. And I appreciate your time, my friend.
Yep. Thank you very much, Mike. You have a good night.
You too, man. That's Tim from Georgia, Tinfoil Timothy. Find him on DLive. I'll get his link up and share it in just a sec. But so what is this stuff? What is this all about? Now check this out. Here's another one from Gizmodo.com, right? And this is from today. Now, the craziest part is all of this is hitting today, right? So we've known about this since 2016, and that's just the way it is, right? But all of this hits today, and all these different articles are just spilling out all over the damn place, all over the internet, and it's like, wait, what? And then, like I said, again, you go turn on the mainstream media, and what are they doing? They're not talking about this. They're not talking about it. Of course, why? You know why? You know why? The race war is more important. They want you to hate your neighbor. That's what they want you to do. That's what they want you to do. They're horrific. They're terrible. The mainstream media. I can't criticize them enough. I digress. All right. So what is this? Now let's go. Speaking of all these articles that popped out, I just linked another one. Check this out. Now this is interesting. This is one this is from Gizmodo, and this is what people haven't really reported. Even these other takes. This is from today, and here's the headline. And this is, again, what pisses me off about a lot of this. Anonymous NatSec officials. NatSec means national security. Anonymous national security officials. The Cuban ray guns are in Syria now. Just trust us on this, right? Here we go again. It says, according to Politico, anonymous officials said the Pentagon has briefed members of Congress on intelligence surrounding suspected directed energy attacks against U.S. troops, with the outlet citing at least 4 national security officials directly involved in the probe. In one of the incidents, several troops in Syria, where hundreds of U.S. soldiers are stationed in another forever war, developed flu-like symptoms. Politico also wrote that said officials attribute these directed energy beams to being sourced from nefarious Russian operatives. Say that like with some dramatic music. Dun, dun, dun. Nefarious Russian operatives. Yeah, right? Now we're in a James Bond movie. The quote continues, 2 former national security officials involved in the inquiry, quite possibly the ones departed along with Donald Trump, claimed the incidents drew extreme concern across the Department of Defense. We check our time, make sure we're good. All right, I can finish this up real quick. The briefings included information about injuries sustained by U.S. troops in Syria, the people said. The investigation includes one incident in Syria in the fall of 2020 in which several troops developed flu-like symptoms, 2 people familiar with the Pentagon probe said. The incidents of suspected directed energy attacks by Russia on Americans abroad became so concerning that the Pentagon's Office of Special Operations and Low-Intensity Conflict began investigating last year, according to 2 former national security officials involved in the effort. It's unclear exactly how many troops were injured or the extent of their injuries. Once again, flat-out lies. Lies. How did we know about this in 2016? It was called the Havana Syndrome. They tried to say it was crickets in 2019. They told us it was microwave weapons. Then first they told us it was acoustic weapons, then microwave weapons. Now it's direct energy attacks. You see what's going on here? They've known this has been under investigation for a very long time, and it's part of the national security. We're not allowed to know, but anyway, it's important that you read these articles. I'm linking them. I've put them in the chat as always, and they will be attached to the bottom of the YouTube page and all the podcasts. They're everywhere. Everywhere I do this, you're going to be able to find my links where I found this information. But this is the thing: anonymous national security officials, right? Sanctioned leaks, right? This is a sick world we live in. When I talk about we live in the upside down, if you're a reality winner and you rip a page off a printer and go leak it to the press, you end up in jail, right? If you're a anonymous national security executive, you work with the press. You get permission to leak these things. To what purpose? That's what I want to know. That's what pisses me off the most about all this. I want to know. And they're not telling us, of course, because they won't and they don't. And they're still. I want a recount on my taxes. You're not going to tell me the truth about anything. I think we got a reckoning coming, government, and I think we need to revisit our tax code if we have what's called representation and taxation. And I won't say it exactly how you're supposed to say it, because if you do, well, I'll probably have people kicking down my door. And I'm not a violent guy. I'm not advocating violence. I'm just saying we need reforms. We need peaceful reforms to fix this mess, because this is a mess. This is a mess. And again, please do not, no violence. I wasn't implying that. I have to say it because, of course, the detractors will tell you what you think and what you meant, even though it wasn't your intent. In any case, we're done for the night on Fringe FM. If you love the show, share. Tell somebody, hey, come listen to Troubled Minds. This is an all right guy. This is an all right show. This is an all right community. They talk about things the mainstream won't touch. Why? Because the mainstream is scared. They're afraid. They won't tell us the truth. So guess what? We have to try and figure this out for ourselves, and that's what we're here trying to do. If you're listening on the Fringe FM, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Stay tuned for Joe Roop, Lighting the Void, coming up at 9 o'clock. Everybody else, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you're on D-Live, Troubled Minds goes for one more hour on those platforms. And we go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. Tomorrow, actually, off of Fringe, we also have a special show, Friday, 7 p.m., YouTube, D-Live, and Facebook special Friday show. So there you go. That's what's up. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for hanging out. From our Troubled Minds to yours. Have a great night. Hang tight. We are not going anywhere. We got one more hour of Troubled Minds. This is the part where we're off of the Fringe, which is the radio that we've actually been fortunate enough to be on, picking up a fantastic audience over there. Lots of great people, lots of smart folks. We got one more hour of this. We're still talking about silent weapons for quiet wars. Yeah, we're going to get to that document and the rest of this. So hang tight. We're going to take your calls for the third hour here. No commercials. We're just going to go until we're done. 9 p.m. to 10 p.m., we're going to go. 2-minute break real quick. Grab a drink. Put the kids to bed. Grab some popcorn. Hit the restroom. 2-minute break. We'll be right back talking about more of this. Don't go anywhere. We've got Kelly calling in right now, and we've got you calling in. If you've never called in before, tonight's your night. You got me. I'll back you up. No need to be nervous. 702-957-1037. Join the Discord, troubleminds.org. You can be on the show either way. Don't go anywhere. 2-minute break. Be right back. All right. right. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, and we're talking about exactly what we've been talking about. You know what it is? It is that these direct energy weapons, they're calling them direct energy attacks now, and we've got this article from Gizmodo where it's anonymous national security officials say the Cuban ray guns are in Syria now. Just trust us on this, right? A little bit wacky. Again, right? Like I said, the thing that pisses me off the most about most of these things is that we really don't have, like an actual chain of custody on this. It's anonymous. Like I said, it's a leak. It's a sanctioned leak. It's a felony, except when they want to sway public opinion. Then it's not a felony at all, right? Then it's called a PSYOP. It's a psychological operation, which are now known as information ops, information operations. We had a whole show on that where we talked about that. This is crazy stuff. This is literal crazy stuff. And that's what we're talking about tonight. So huge implications of what this means for the future of war. We're going to get to that actual document in a little bit. But right now we've got Kelly on the phone. So let's go to Kelly. Kelly, you're on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
Going on there, Mike, and peace to the family.
Thanks, man. You too. Thanks for being here. What do you think about all this crazy stuff? These weird weapons we've been keeping an eye on for a couple years now. They're telling us it's something else all of a sudden. What the hell, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was all over that when they first came out. You know what I mean? Because it was like Timothy said. It was. This has been going on for a while. You know, I mean, this electromagnetic warfare is what it is. You know, what do you call it? What was it? I've heard that term before, something like the silent war.
Yeah, so it's silent weapons for quiet wars. And let me tell you where that came from, just real quick, because I didn't know. It's from a document they say leaked in the 50s, and I'll read some of that after you get off the phone. But it's horrifying. I'll link it all, but. I didn't get a chance to actually track down if it's real or not. I think that's part of the problem with today's media. I can't trust a damn thing. So I don't know if it's real. So I'm going to go with I don't know. But what it says is horrifying. It's basically just kind of laying out the New World Order and population control and all this shit that people have been saying for a very long time. It's terrifying stuff. Silent weapons for quiet wars. That's the term. Sorry, sir. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I remember. Now that you said that, yeah, I remember it now. It is pretty deep. It goes down a couple of different rabbit holes. It's pretty interesting. But for information on some of this, it's bioelectromagnetics is what it is, right? And there's a book that if someone wants to go out and check out, here's a little bit of information. It's called Magnetobiology. Just like Tim was saying when he was working around that big magnet, right? It's anything that's like electromagnetic fields, you know what I mean, from like sources. And it talks about sources from like power lines, domestic appliances, you know, mobile phones, and even like electrical storms. You know, it's kind of like with Tesla stuff. You know, he was. If you want to think about that, you know, Tesla was in the early 1900s. So, you know, the 50s they've already been working on that stuff from, you know, his technology, I would say.
Okay, so it's been around.
But, yeah, so, but there, inside that book, there's a study from a lady, her name's Dana Ashley, right? The reason why I want to bring this up is because I'm going to talk about not only that, because, you know, the bioelectromagnetic fields and stuff, right? So like even acoustics like LRADs that the military has. But the impacts on some of these on the body, right? So it's almost kind of like we were talking about the gray matter within the brain. But some of these technologies have, right? So in that study, she talks about the frequency impacts on the oxygen within the body, right? Within the cells of the body. Specifically 60 megahertz. And 60 megahertz causes the electrons to spin within the cells. And when it does that, you can change, just kind of like anything else with like acoustics or any kind of stuff like that, you can change the spin of the frequency. So when that happens, the hemoglobin is unable to uptake oxygen, you know, and sends it out to the rest of the body. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because it ties in with like 5G. All this 5G is it's a, you know, these are good type of magnetic fields, or, you know, you can send out low frequencies. They induce circulating currents within the human body. Now that is going to depends on the strength of these currents, depends on the, you know, the intensity of the outside of these magnetic fields. Now, once that happens, once it starts making those inside the hemoglobin, right? When those electrons start spinning, right? That causes the cell to die, blood, right? And all the cells within there, you know, everything that keeps alive within the body starts dying off. Now, talking about the coronavirus, so some, you know, I've seen some of the chat in there. It's the exact same field. These fields will give you the exact same thing, just like you're reading, that people have flu-like symptoms, because it's going to give you the exact same thing. The more higher the frequency, or the more intensify the beam they can put on a certain person or an area, it's going to cause more damage, right? It's going to, obviously. Now, that's why the whole thing I talked about with this 5G, and this is that lady that was, you know, Miss Ashley, she was talking about some of this, you know, concluding with. So, so some of this stuff is like, some people explain, like, there's a guy in there, Reese, right? He had studied in 1999 with cell phones and stuff, right? He says, like, even then, like a high grade glymo, it mimics acute viral encephalitis, which is the swelling of the brain. So these frequencies can cause all kinds of damage to the brain or any kind of part of the body they want to get. Just like Tim was saying, they could direct some of that stuff and just liquefy you, actually. Microwaves are the worst. Well, not the worst, but they're one of the worst they can, you know, they can put on you. So, you know, these things that might, like these guys saying at first when, you know, in Cuba, they you know, might have heard a sound at first or something, and then, you know, they became sick and ill. Yeah, this stuff doesn't kill you instantly. It's kind of like the stuff that, you know, the radar systems that we were, like I was talking when we was on the Navy on the aircraft carrier. Sometimes these guys up there on the towers, they don't shut them down. Or when, you know, some guys go up there, you know, we're at the end of the aircraft carrier working on aircraft, and, you know, there's, I can't remember we have so many radars up on there, but one of them they're supposed to shut down, because if we get fried by those, you know, we're not going to actually, you know, we won't see that shit until like years on down the road. And that's what I was explaining with, like, it kills, for like men, it kills a lot of the male sperm. So a lot of the, you know, the Navy guys that are there, they have a lot of daughters. You know, that's actually a study that it was, you know, they found that as well. So, you know, I had a lot of friends that did the exact same thing. You know, they had a lot of daughters, and, you know, a couple of them.
You cut off? You there?
For a minute, man.
Yeah, you cut off. I think you're back.
Yeah.
What about the daughters now? Are we talking about the daughters of man?
Oh, some, and, you know, because they had more, you know, like if the kids they were having, it was more frequency to have daughters than there is to have boys, because of that reason.
I see.
Because they accidentally got fried by by those radar systems.
I see. So it actually changed something in their biology to make them more predisposed to having daughters instead of sons. I see. And so that's not intentional. That was that's just a byproduct of the technology, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. So I hadn't heard that.
So
before.
this is real quick, Mike. I just want to say, because now the reason why I'm bringing this up, because it was, you know, that study was only on 60 megahertz on those electrons that make them start spinning and stuff within the cells, right? Now, if you think about what 5G runs on, it runs between 25 to 39 gigahertz. So yeah, it is a weapon. It's like with the LRADs that we have on the Navy ships, right? We can increase them, intensify them, direct them, pinpoint them in one area, or we can do a widespread. It doesn't matter. Those things that we have on there, Yeah, these things are weapons, and that's it's an acoustic. The only reason why we put it out for a noise really is because you let them know that it's a weapon, but it's more through through the bioelectromagnetics of the weapon. It's they can intensify that shit.
Okay, I'm with you. So this is not, none of this is new. So they've weaponized. So what's an LRAD for the people that don't know?
LRAD is it's like an acoustic weapon, right? When it can be directed at police use it as crowd control, but we have bigger and better ones on Navy ships. So if you have pirate ships that are trying to take down, a lot of these other ships too, the shipping ships, they want to start arming themselves. Instead of weapons or guns, they want to use a non-lethal, supposedly non-lethal, but LRAD. It's it's like an acoustic or electromagnetic field that kind of pushes out, and once that thing hits you, you can pinpoint it. Like I said, they can narrow it down into a singular field, so it's only directed to one person. And when that shit hits you, you really feel it. It actually burns you. People say it feels like their body's catching on fire. What it mostly is, because it's like I said, it's hitting you. Not only that, but it's all the way to your cells. To your cells, literally. So that's what I'm saying. Some of these weapons, Timothy's right. You can direct some of that shit. Some of these weapons that they can produce, they'll liquefy it. You'll just melt, actually.
Yeah, which I've got a list of things that we'll talk about in a little bit here, but some of these are terrifying. Like I said, they sound like they're out of Buck Rogers, some science fiction shit. I mean, that's the type of stuff we're talking about, right? And instead of keeping tabs on this, what's CNN talking about? So some chick pulled a knife on another chick and got shot by a cop, and it's going to be the narrative until something else happens, right? It's unbelievably stupid what they're doing, and they just want us to be happy, not even happy, angry and dumb. They want us to be angry and dumb, and here we are. At least I'm angry. I'll give it that. I'm not going to claim dumb just yet, but holy shit, right? It's unbelievable to me that this stuff's really happening out there and nobody's talking about it. You turn on both of them, and this is literally all over the damn internet today if you know where to look, and nobody's brought this up. Fox, I turn on both Fox and CNN to see if anybody covered this. Nope, of course not. Too much race baiting bullshit to really bother with.
They just want to direct you to your local, immunization center where you can just wait in line.
Exactly. Sick, man, sick. So what do you think? So what do you think the latest iteration of this is? And so you're saying that has if it's similar to an LRAD, it has ridiculous range, and you could pinpoint it or you could spread it out in a net, right? You could do both. So what do you think the range is on a weapon like this that you could use through walls and just blast people and give them brain damage? Do you think it's hundreds of miles, or do you think it's just tens of miles, or do you think it's a mile?
Well, depends. I mean, the intensity of the LRAD, that you can't be too far away. You know what I mean? It's the distance wise. It's just something for close proximity. But if you can intensify a beam like that, anything weaponized, anything that you can direct a beam like that and intensify it, you can go for miles. I'm pretty sure you don't even have to be. They're probably out at sea because Cuba's surrounded by the ocean. They're probably out at sea shooting this thing, directing it. I mean, they already got lasers. I was reading some about that. I think it was on. I don't know if it was Air Force. I believe an Air Force F-16. They just put a new laser weapon, and they were saying, no, it's not like the tracking laser. This thing is actually melt your face laser. You know what I mean? So it's like those ones that, I don't know, man. It's crazy though. This new warfare that these everybody wants to play with it, and that's not the thing. It's the thing about it. It is the the military industrial complex. We make weapons to make wars. Before we were just wars, so then we had to make weapons. but it's reversed now. That's the whole thing about that. That even our president's been talking about that shit for decades, man. You know, presidents on presidents on presidents have been talking about this, but again, I don't know what it's going to take to wake some of these people up to realize, you know. I mean, I know the dumbing down of the society is pretty hard right now, and it's on full throttle. But I mean, come on already.
It's working. I think it's working. People care more about what shoes Kim Kardashian wears than this. This is insane. Oh, geez. We got a call behind you, Kelly. Final thought while we got you on the phone, my friend.
No, man. Just just one last thing. Again, that book, if you guys want to check it, if anybody wants to look into it, it's called Magnetobiology, right?
Magnetobiology.
Magnetobiology. It's a pretty spendy book. You're gonna have to come out of pocket for this one, but yeah, it's the technology and the studies that are in there are pretty unique. Check it out. It's all about what you're talking about.
Gotcha. All right. Appreciate it, my friend. Good stuff as always. God bless you and the family. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right, brother. Take it easy.
Thanks, man. You too. That's Kelly from Colorado, guys. Fantastic stuff as always. If you want to be part of the show, we got another call we're going to go straight to, but I'm going to read the phone number. If you haven't called in, tonight's your night, 702-957-1037. Go to troubledminds.org, the official website. Click the Discord link. You can be on the show that way. I'm watching the Discord. Jay's in there. I don't know if he's just hanging out in there or if he's going to call a little bit later. We'll get that worked out, but you can be on the show either way. Dial the phone number. Discord, troubledminds.org. Both are right there on top. Let's go to, this is Matt from Oregon. How are you doing, my friend? Welcome to the show.
Good. How's it going, Mike?
Pretty good, man.
Good show tonight.
Thank you. What do you think is going on with this stuff?
Okay, I want to talk about the acoustics, or we call them, I guess we could say, weapons.
Sure.
So what I believe is, our bodies have frequency. Our brains have like a, megahertz that puts out a frequency. All of our organs have that. And even our soul. And so it's kind of like our body functioning together is like an orchestra. Everything's in tune, it sounds good. But if one instrument is out of tune, you could hear it. And so maybe that's what they're kind of doing to us with these brain frequencies. They're like, untuning, I guess, our brain. And that's why these people have these symptoms.
Interesting. So basically, the actual term for that would be Discord, right? Interesting that's the same. It's the chat program as well, but the term for that would be like a discord in the notes, in the note structure, right? And so there's a dissonance, and so you're describing an acoustic weapon with a dissonance that actually scrambles our natural process somehow, right?
Exactly. Okay, and then I want to talk about this weapons. This is what I believe. They had it in on Standing Rock, the Native American thing that happened a few years ago. And the Native Americans had these symptoms, but the problem with it is that the Native Americans, they don't have like health insurance, so they couldn't go to like the doctors. They were getting denied, and maybe that's why there's no like tests or like hardcore evidence, I guess, of it. But maybe there's like the Native Americans out there like suffering from this, and we just don't know about it.
I hadn't actually heard that, but let me push back for just a sec. The Native Americans are not the only ones that don't have health care. But I'm just saying, you triggered me. You know it. If you bring up taxes or health care, I'm going to freak out. I almost freaked out. I'm going to hold myself back. But no, you're totally right there. But I hadn't heard that they used it at Standing Rock. So that was the pipeline, right? So that when Donald Trump was president, they were going to build a pipeline through the reservation, and they had the big standoff at Standing Rock. So you're saying they dissipated the crowd by using these energy weapons or this acoustic weapon on them, and then they kind of had to retreat because what else can you do?
Yeah, I think he called it the LRAD. I don't know the terms for it, but it's this thing on the back of a tank.
I see.
And some Native Americans, I followed it really closely. So, but like the Native Americans did like have like people have these symptoms. Might not be no evidence of it, but they said that they had that. And another thing I want to talk about is in music again, like with the Discord you're talking about. So in music, we listen to like back in the day, music was recorded in like they called it 432 megahertz. So it's like a frequency thing again. And that's why the music back then sounded so good, right? We love that stuff. And then you hear the music the kids are listening to nowadays, and you're like, turn it off. Like, it hurts, like physically hurts your brain, right?
Only kinda, but yes. Go ahead.
I'm not gonna say any certain names of bands, but the music coming out nowadays, there's good music out there, don't get me wrong, but the music on the mainstream on the radio, it gives me a headache if I listen to it too long.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Give it a try.
It's garbage. You sound far too young for that.
Maybe that's.
Us old guys are like, yeah, all the music today's trash. You sound far too young for that, but okay, I'll take it. But okay, go right ahead. So 432, it's megahertz, right? And then so is it 432 versus 440? Is that what we're talking, right?
Yeah. So if you want to experiment with it, if you take your favorite band or song and type it in the internet and then type in 432 megahertz, hopefully it'll pop up, and then listen to it with headphones or like blast it in your car. And you'll notice a difference. What I believe, you'll feel it. What I believe is that our eardrums are tuned to 432 megahertz, and maybe that's why it sounds better. And then the music nowadays, they're putting it offwards at a different frequency to, dumb us down.
Yeah, so I'm a musician. I've read a lot about this, and I'm actually, eventually we're going to do a show about the entire 440 versus 432. And so, I don't know. Like, I haven't actually done that comparison like you've described, but I think, like, based on what I've read, it appears that our body is in tune at a natural state with that 432 instead of the 440, right? I think it's something like that. It's something to that effect, where it's and not just that. I think it's the actual natural hum of the earth or something like that as well. I don't know. Like, it's been a while since I read this stuff, but we'll do a show, we'll do a full show on this. I promise. It's coming. We'll actually do one of these one day where we'll do exactly like you said. Maybe play a clip of a song and then do the different version of it and see what people notice. But yeah, I mean, it's an old conspiracy, and it even goes back to, like, I think the 1700s when they changed the standard from 432 to 440. Yeah, man, fantastic stuff. So what do you think this? Why is the Pentagon now saying direct energy weapon, direct energy attack? So remember, it started with an acoustic in 2017. It changed to microwave in 2019. Now 2021, they're calling it a direct energy attack. What do you think that's all about?
I guess it's just technology. I really don't know, but it's you said the news. The news is going to tell you whatever.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So they're just giving us a bunch of BS, and we got to take it.
Yeah, they're not going to tell us everything, of course. But right. I don't know what to really think about that. I was just thinking more of how I was trying to explain it. Like, it's like how they said it's a instead of an acoustic or a sonic weapon, it's like a biomechanic weapon, which is a totally different thing.
Yeah, just through sound. So it would be like exactly like you said, like a biomechanical acoustic weapon. That would really be what it was. Crazy stuff, man.
All of them together.
Yeah, all of them together, exactly. We're just creating new words tonight. That's okay. That's fine. Language is one of them things, man. It's all good. It's all good. That's what we do on this show. Matt, you're the best. Anything else while we got you on the phone tonight?
Nope. I just always want to say I learned more about the news from this show than the actual news.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Good night, Mike. Thank you.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the call. That's Matt from Oregon, and good stuff. He's got some good points there. And if we're talking an actual acoustic weapon, let's see. Trying to get you off here. Let's see. All right. It's lagging. Anyway. All right. So I'm gonna keep talking. So if we're talking about these acoustic type weapons, he's got some good points. I think we'll have to probably weave this type of thing back into that show when we do the different hertz, whatever the hell's going on with that, right? 442 is higher, makes sense. Yeah, is it 440, 442? I don't know exactly. Like I said, it's been a while since I've read that stuff. But anyway, we'll do a whole show on that, and we'll talk about that, and we'll do all this stuff, and we'll get there. But anyway, point being, we're talking about this tonight. We're talking about the Pentagon investigated a suspected Russian-directed energy attack, right? And we've been watching this for years, literally years now. 2016, it happened in Cuba. They said it was an acoustic weapon in 2017. 2019, they told us it was crickets and a microwave weapon. 2021, now they're saying it's Russia and it's a directed energy attack. What can you do? What can you do? And here we are trying to figure it out, doing our best, right? Let's see. So basically, Jay, if you want to call in on Discord, all you got to do is unmute yourself. I'm gonna bring you in on air. Let's go, Jay in New York. All you got to do is unmute. Find the unmute button on there somewhere, and when you're ready, just go right ahead. All right, he jumped out. All right, so just it says right there in the Discord you're muted. Oh, muted by me. Oh, crap. This could be my fault. Shit, Jay, I apologize. Remember when you said, can I listen on Discord? I muted you. So I broke it. So I just fixed it. It was all my fault. See, there you go. The conspiracy at play. All right, so we fixed you. We hang tight, Jay. We've got a phone call coming in. You're on Discord. You're going to work in just a sec. We'll get you going, and you'll be the next call right after Joe here. So I'm sorry about that, Jay. That was all my fault. I fucked it up. I completely screwed it up. What can you do? Sometimes you push the wrong buttons. All right, so hang tight. We'll get to you in a sec, Jay. Let's go to Joe. Joe in Florida. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, my friend?
Hey, what's going on? Couple of things. Timothy made some good points, and my uncle was an electrician and worked on the Twin Towers. When Tim was talking, jogged the memory of a book. I don't remember the name of it, but I Googled microwave dangers in the 70s. Lo and behold, on Amazon, book comes up, The Zapping of America, Microwaves and the Deadly Risk. The first review of the book, and it doesn't have that many reviews, but the review mentions Marconi died in the 1930s, along with 30 military officers and scientists attempting to develop a microwave weapon for the fascists. In 1960, the KGB was microwaving the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, which Tim said. What I did not know was 3 American ambassadors subsequently died. American corporations and universities have been funded to develop energy weapons since the 60s. Manipulating behavior is an obvious concern. That was a review by somebody on this book called The Zapping of America that was written in the 70s at some time. If you Google sound cannon for crowd control, there's stuff available to the public to buy. You can buy an LRAD for $10,000. There's something on Wish, which obviously is probably garbage, but there's things out there. Listening to everybody else talk makes me wonder about HARP. If they're pinpointing things from satellites, we had HARP, whether it was used for weather, who knows if it's not a modified version, something to that effect, some kind of an antenna, some kind of a satellite. But it's scary. It's scary. And why now? Why a couple of years later? Why is it back in the news? Are they preparing us for mass crowd control? We just had a virus. We saw what a virus does. And what happens if you have a virus and some kind of energy weapon? What's going to happen?
Yeah, weird though, right?
They're going to make you do whatever the hell they want you to do.
You're good. Well, we can drop F-bombs now. I appreciate you trying to correct that. No, but the thing, you're right. So, and that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to get at. Is that not only is this thing some sort of weapon that can be deployed silently through walls, right? Symptoms may not even appear for several days, and they may initially start like the flu. Like I said, you go back to the past year. Does that ring any bells to anybody? Like, that's why I'm curious about the range of this thing. If we can literally do entire city blocks, and give people flu-like symptoms and then brain damage, like, holy shit, what is going on with this world, right? I mean, and then that literally, if they have these things, let's say they're installing these things, I don't know, every 100 meters. You know what I'm saying? Wink, wink. I'm not going to say the words.
That's true.
But what if they do? Yep. It literally nullifies the Second Amendment because you just push the button and everybody wakes up with brain damage the next day. It's a wrap, right? Like you've got a whole bunch of zombies to control now. Like nobody has any intelligent thought like we try and have on this show. I know, I'm a knucklehead half the time, but we're trying our best here, and that's part of the problem.
The thing is, if we identify it, So let's say the soldiers are in the field and they identify it. Then the cat's out of the bag for everybody. So, I mean, it's just really bizarre that they haven't identified the weapon or where it's come from. And if this has been experimented with since the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, you can't tell me they don't know where that frequency is coming from. I mean, if it's coming from space, I would think that they would easily be able to track that. Nor somebody would be able to track some kind of a satellite having some kind of an energy burst, something. We're talking Star Trek stuff here, Star Wars. If it's on the ground, it might be harder to detect. But maybe we need to start building some kind of detection software to zoom in on it. But at the same time, do they want that weapon to be found? Because if that weapon's found, then that means we have that weapon more than likely also.
Yeah, for sure. And so we know the symptoms. And like you said, if this goes back to the 50s and 60s, there's no surprise about a microwave weapon or about a sonic acoustic weapon. We know this. Like you said, you can buy one. Dude, I didn't know you could buy one of those things. I'm going to mount an LRAD on my SUV. Watch this. Watch me, suckers.
Like $10,000. If you go to Google and you just type up like sound cannon for crowd control, some stuff comes up.
Okay.
$10,000. Right. There's one right there, $10,000.
All right.
I didn't read the whole details, but it comes up. And the other thing is, if it was more microwave, I think you would feel the heat. I start to wonder, submarines, I put it in the chat, but, all those whales that wash ashore because of sonar, and that sonar travels, whether it travels through the seabed or however that sonar travels to receive signals. Submarines have to receive signals deep under the water. Who knows if it's got an external version of that? But whatever it is has to draw power. I would imagine it would have to draw a large amount of power, unless it's a generator in the back of a truck. But they have to know what's doing it by now. They have to know. Whether it's a ship off the ocean. Look at those listening device ships. The Russians put those ships. We have those ships that have listening devices on them. Who knows if that ship, Cuba's an island? How easy would it be if you had a ship on the coast and you just microwave the building? And everybody's looking on the ground, but it's offshore. How hard is that? Real evil people. It takes real evil people.
And that's who we're dealing with, I think. I think it's unfortunate, but the quote good guy is going to say, well, we got to do the evil shit to keep up with the evil people, but I don't know, man. Like, I'm kind of getting tired of these same justifications of constant war. And you see this trash. Let's derail for just a sec. You see this trash about Afghanistan. They're like, all right, well, we're gonna leave troops in. We're gonna take troops out. We're gonna leave troops in. We're gonna take troops out. The Taliban this, the Taliban that. So which is it? Which is it? Right? It depends on which asshole you ask, and they're gonna lie to you no matter what, right? I don't know. I don't know what to think. I've never been to Afghanistan, but I'm told constantly that we need troops there because it's going to turn into a third world war if we leave it alone. I'm not so sure about that. It doesn't sound likely to me.
Same thing as follow the money.
Follow the money, right? Like the poppy fields in Afghanistan.
Follow the money, follow the contracts.
Yeah.
Follow the money, follow the contracts, follow the private armies, follow the private weapons, follow the, being above the law. Look at all of that. Search all of that. I mean, we all know. We're all preaching to the choir, to each other here. We all know this. It's a sad reality, and it seems to be accelerating.
Yeah, it's sick. It's a sick world we live in, man. It is sick. I appreciate you listening, man. I appreciate you calling. Anything else while we got you on the phone?
No, you got what I sent you in the email.
Okay. You want to talk about that?
Another day, let me know.
Okay, you want to bring that up another day? Well, tell you what, we're doing a special show on Friday that kind of fits. So we got Sean from Canada. Are you busy Friday?
I'm. You know what? Tomorrow, because tomorrow, I just got done working 8 days. Crazy stuff at the funeral home. It's been kind of nuts. Not all virus stuff. Not all of that stuff. Just been busy. So like tomorrow's my ice hockey game, and tomorrow night might be my club day wearing a mask.
Nice.
But I got to get out and see some fruit. I got to get out and see some freaks.
Okay.
So if you're on at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm coming across the bridge, I'll give a listen.
Okay. All right. Cool. Fair enough. God bless you, my friend. Get your R&R time in there. You deserve it as much as anybody else. I appreciate the call. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling tonight.
Have a good night, guys.
Thanks, man. You too. Appreciate the takes. Good stuff, guys. All right. So we got Jay. Let me. So I've had to go to Wi-Fi. Check this out. So I got my internet got quote upgraded, right? And so they gave me this modem, and it's trash. So like I hardwire everything because I'm a paranoid SOB, right? So I hardwire everything. I don't have Wi-Fi running, but then the hardwire dies. I'm like, are you shitting me? So I have to use Wi-Fi. So I'm operating at like 1/3 internet speed. So everything I push the button on the phone calls and it lags for like 10 full seconds before it picks up the phone or it hangs up the call. There you go. I don't know. Is it a conspiracy? I think I might got a crappy router, but it pisses me off because I hate running at 1/3 speed. You know what I'm saying? Like, who wants to drive in second gear when you got fifth? All right. Anyway, here we go. Let's go to Jay. Jay, we're still talking about these directed energy weapons. I'm sorry, that's not what they're called. The Pentagon's referring to this as Pentagon investigated suspected Russian directed energy attacks, because the term directed energy weapons is a no-no, so we won't say that. What's up, Jay? You're on Trouble Minds with Mike. Does everything work?
Am I really?
Yes.
This time?
It works.
Yay!
That was me. I fucked it all up. We did it that one time.
No, I remember the show when my battery was dead on the iPad, and I was like, just let me listen.
Yeah.
I remember.
So I muted you so we didn't catch you farting or something. You know what I mean? It's just kind of one of those, like yelling at the kids, or you know what I'm saying? It's just I muted you out of a courtesy thing, and then I never unmuted it, so you thought it was broke, and I thought it was broke, but I'm just an idiot. So okay. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you tonight?
It's nice to talk to you on the Discord because the quality is so much better.
It is, isn't it? You sound great.
It's amazing.
Man. Those telephones sucks.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I don't even know where. Okay, how do we fix it? Let's. We're always dealing with the problem and worrying about the problems. How do we fix it?
Fix this
that's my job. Well, no, I mean, that's my job. When people call me up to come over to their house, they look at something and they're like, we need you to fix this. And I'm like, oh, shit. How the hell am I going to fix that? Half your house is falling down. Yeah. It's the same thing. We deal with it the same way. How do we fix it?
Yeah. I appreciate the way you think. And I think in many cases the same way. And so what I thought was 3 years ago, I know, I'll start a radio show. But I don't.
Let's educate people about it.
But I'm not sure. But I'm not even sure. You know what I'm saying? It's like I think I ran across this quote recently, and I don't even know if it's true, because these quote bots and all this shit on Twitter and all these other things. You don't know if they're real quotes anymore. Yeah. People are faking you out and all this other bullshit. But apparently Tupac said, according to this quote bot, that the source is sketchy. I don't have it, so I like to link my stuff. But apparently,
I got a signed Tupac record.
Nice. Maybe you can verify this. I didn't listen much to Tupac because I'm an idiot. But check this out. There's supposedly a Tupac quote that goes something like this, and I don't know if it's from a song or from something he said in an interview or something, but that he doesn't expect to change the world, but he expects to inspire somewhere down the line that will. Something to that effect. And
that's Tupac.
Yeah? Did he say that?
I didn't really care. I didn't really care for him personally. But my first wife loved the death out of him. I had to take her to a concert and stuff like that, pay extra for backstage passes. He signed the record and blew joint smoke in her face and walked away. But
nice.
Anyway, but she was happy, Well, when we got divorced and everything else like that, she left it here. It's a signed record from Tupac. It's never been opened.
No shit.
Yeah.
So
I got a record store in my gigs with property through previous conversations. Right, I bought a piece of shit and it had a bunch of crap in it.
Right.
Being complete Masons. The guy that had the house before me was a Mason, and he was like up there, one of the big dudes. I got entire encyclopedia sets in the boxes that are Masons from the U.S. Flag Company in like 1920.
No shit. Wow.
Oh, they're cool as hell, dude, wrapped in wax paper with a piece of wood so it doesn't break the binding and shipping. You know how when you fold a hardcover book up, it's got that little arc to it? This had a piece of wood there so the binding wouldn't break in shipping. And they wrapped it all in wax paper, each book individually, and then put it in a dovetailed crate with a nail in it.
That's funny. I mean, it isn't, but it is. Okay, all right.
Unopened. Some of them are unopened. I haven't even looked at them
amazing.
yet. The pages are bound backwards, so when you read the book, you have to use a letter opener to open up the prime number pages.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Dude, you may have like some secret society shit, man, that needs to get out. you got to look into that.
Okay. I need about 8 people to come over and start reading books.
All right, fair enough. Maybe we could crowdsource a drink and smoke show as we do that. All right,
we just legalized marijuana in New York.
Nice.
We could do it.
We could do it. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So
wear this mask and smoke a joint.
Exactly.
You won't care.
Right. Exactly. I think like these goofy rules, right? It's like you have to wear a mask unless you're eating, and then you can't, but then you have to like put it on in between bites. Fuck you.
There's a peeing section in the pool.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You got to pee while you're in the pool. Go over there. The shallow end where the little kids are playing.
That is well put. That is well put. It's true though. It's freaking true. It's just the dumbest thing ever. Oh, here's another one too. Another really stupid thing like that. So here in Vegas, right? They have these no smoking sections in the casino, and it's literally like it's not blocked off at all. It's just like an alcove, right? That's like adjacent to the smoking section without a blocker at all, and you're in the no smoking section. So it's full of smoke. It's just the dumbest thing. It's the dumbest thing ever.
I was actually in the bar business when the smoking ban came about, and people were like, holy shit, what are we going to do? You know, we sitting here and chain smoke all day.
Yeah.
So we had to have a smoking section in the bar. I mean, this place was like, my workshop is about 20 by 50. I could probably fit 2 of these bars in my workshop. You know, it was tiny. So they had one table over by the front door that was the non-smoking section. And it was like a thermocline, about 2 feet off the table, right about head level. You know, it's like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the bathroom's going to smell like piss and the place smells like smoke. I mean, you're in a bar.
You're in a damn bar. And that's exactly it. It's funny, right? In the old days, it used to be like they used to ask you smoking or non-smoking. It doesn't matter.
Who cares, dude?
It doesn't matter.
Whatever's available.
Anyway, all right. So let's get back to you're hilarious, man. We could do this all night. We're like a comedy routine. Let's get back to this directed energy stuff. What do you think this stuff is? So that again, acoustic weapons, microwave weapons, or directed energy attacks is what the term is. Like, why are they changing the story? Again, why has this technology been around for a long ass time, and why are they lying to us? What the hell's really going on here?
I don't know, that Mars attacks, that Slim Whitman's guy, it made the aliens' brains pop inside their helmets. You know, we've been making jokes about that stuff forever. You know, viruses and War of the Worlds. You know, they figured out really quick that if they turn the radar on an aircraft carrier and some guy was up there painting a deck, the fire department had to go up there and scrape them off. You know, how can we use this and like aim it at that guy in a little fishing boat wants to come over here with a bomb and blow us up? Let's aim that thing at him. I mean, that's how people are, that they're bored. They're out there at sea doing nothing, you know.
so they're turning sideways in the Suez Canal.
Hey, well, check this shit out, man. I can do a donut.
No, he drew a dick. He drew a dick in the Gulf. Did you see that before?
Yeah, I have a feeling. Yeah, I have a feeling that might have been some to do. That might have been some guy being an asshole on purpose.
No, yeah. No, that was definitely like planned. There's no.
That had to be pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
If the wind was that bad, when he was going through there's no way he'd be able to be going that fast.
Exactly.
Through there.
And
unless he was planning on putting 12 feet on the bow and 12 feet on the stern into the dirt.
Exactly. And the reason they cited for that ship going sideways in the Suez Canal was that the wind. And yet he drew a perfect dick in the water before he jammed up the canal.
Watch this. You guys want to be assholes? I'll show you assholes.
Exactly. I mean,
show world shipping down for
good
2-3
night,
weeks.
Good night, Mary. We're yucking it up too much, I think, or maybe it's just too late. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Okay, so I'm laughing too much, but all right, let's get back on course, my friend.
Starlink's going up.
Starlink?
You know what? How many? 40,000 satellites or whatever. You know, think about that. Have you ever been in a soundproof room? You do music and stuff like that, like a recording studio. You know how there's zero sound in the studio.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like acoustically sealed.
It almost hurts when there's nobody talking or anything else like that. If you sit in a room for a couple of minutes, you're putting the tile down or the carpet base, and you're not making any noise. It's dead.
Silent, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And silence is painful. You're right.
It hurts.
Yeah.
Disturbed the metal band there. Their version of the sound of silence is, it's crazy because it's so true. I mean, if you've ever been in one of those rooms, but then again, you also work at that same place for a little while, and when they do their speaker testing in there, and you look at all their little needles when everybody's outside wearing hearing protection outside of the soundproof room. What the hell? You guys aren't building a radio. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
I know better.
You turn the guitar up to 11. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It hurts.
You know Macintosh Labs, right? Do you know Macintosh Labs?
Not if it's not like the Mac, like the Apple Mac. Something else?
No, not Apple. No, they got sued over the name, and they actually had the name first and lost because Mac had more money. But
of course,
it's a local place that if you want to listen to the radio on a Macintosh radio, it's going to cost you $20,000, dude.
Wow.
For the receiver and the speakers. And this shit is phenomenal.
So better than Bose. Bose seems to be the guys that hog up.
Yeah, that's a joke, dude.
That's a joke.
Hillary Clinton uses Macintosh. Hillary Clinton used Macintosh for her sound equipment when she went and spoke places. The guy who just died, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry to hear. Rush Limbaugh, Willie Nelson, the Grateful Dead, all bought their sound equipment from Macintosh. It's built, 5 miles away from my house. Every once in a while, a carpet repair or something like that in there. And the place is Fort Knox, dude.
So point being, though, you're saying that the acoustics are so piercing, or the opposite, that it could easily be weaponized, and you kind of you buy the fact that this is possible.
No, it is possible, and they're doing it.
All right.
Remember Ferguson, Missouri, when they had that big to-do with white cop, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get down that road.
Michael Brown,
yeah. I was into it a little bit, and I was paying attention to what was going on, and there are all kinds of bloggers on Facebook posting their videos live of what was actually going on there. And I was like, wow, they're using sound weapons on those people to move them down the street.
Yeah, they were doing it in Hong Kong. They were doing it too, yeah.
Well, I'm talking about Ferguson, Missouri, in the United States of America. Right. They were using them on a massive amount of people that were upset about something to push them down the road. So the fire department could come in and put out the fires that they lit. But
we digress.
It was...
We digress. Yeah, I mean, no, all right. So clearly, and here's the funny thing too. So we actually, back in the day when we used to play a lot more video on the show, we would. I actually found one from I can't remember what the actual YouTube channel was, but it was an actual crowd control device. It was like that. It was like they had an example of like a microwave crowd control and an example of an acoustic crowd control, and they were showing them being used on people, but the people were voluntary, right? They were like, okay, I'll stand here and get microwaved for a second. Then they'd stand there and wait, and they'd run off like 2 seconds later, like rubbing their skin, like this shit burns. So we played that video on, which is why we don't play a ton of video on this show anymore, because there's copyrights on all this shit. So literally, it's like it was like a defense program. And like, I don't know if it was public money, but you got to assume at some point, right? Public money. And we played it on here, and they took the entire show down. It was like a 2-minute YouTube video, and they literally the show's in the tank. Like we were. I was shocked 2 days later to find out that it was that clip that actually brought us down, and it was crowd control based on acoustics and microwave technology. And this was 2 years ago. This was 2 freaking years ago. So it's like this shit's been around, and so to your point, we got to wind this up, man. You know the drill. We got a couple minutes left.
Yeah, it's way. I'm sorry.
No. Don't apologize.
I could talk to you 100 years.
It's okay. It's okay. God willing, we got tomorrow. All right, and we have a special show tomorrow. We're going to be on here with Sean, so we're going to do a Friday show.
It's fantastic. I got to be in a lift all day, and it's going to be about 20-mile-an-hour winds here, so I'm going to be rocking and rolling all day.
Nice. So
it sucks 45 feet in the air.
Yeah, that sounds like not a lot of fun. Not a lot of fun. So
fun.
Okay. Yeah,
it's
that's fun. So stay safe tomorrow. Do your thing. We're looking forward to talking to you tomorrow. Please call us.
Yeah.
Final thought tonight.
Let's see how we can fix it. What can we do to fix it?
I agree.
All right, we know what the problem is. Well, what can we, as the little chess pieces, the teeny tiny ones that hold up the board, do? No.
There are many problems. There are many problems.
We just got to say no. That's all. No, I'm not doing it. You want your taxes? No. Now you have to feed me and house me and clothe me and everything else like that.
No, bro,
I'm not paying it.
Jay, it's cheaper to kill you. It's cheaper to kill you, brother.
That's one of the things that gets me, that worries me about it a lot, is because the jokes and all, but those little cell phone towers are going up on telephone poles all over here. I'll take a picture of it tomorrow and put it on the Discord. It's 100 yards down the street from the house. I'm sure I'll run out for something.
Nice. Okay.
And I'll grab a picture of it and I'll put it on Discord just so people know what they look like.
Okay.
And I bet you.
Please do.
Everybody's got them everywhere.
And here they come. They're coming for us. Like I said, it's cheaper to kill you than it is to feed you. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget that when the government is like, don't worry, we'll feed you.
We're not a communist country yet.
I'm just saying. It's
not yet.
One bullet is definitely cheaper than feeding you for the rest of your life. I'm just saying, man. Okay.
It's true. That's why you think. I'm sorry. I'm keeping talking.
You're good.
I'll stop.
You're good. So be safe tomorrow. Looking forward to the picture. We're going to wind this up tonight. And so tomorrow we'll be talking about some interesting stuff. So stay tuned. We'll have God willing tomorrow, of course. I got to say God willing. We'll have Sean from Canada. I call him our favorite Canadian, but of course all the Canadians are our favorite Canadians, so don't get me wrong there. But Sean's our favorite Canadian, one of them anyway, and he's going to be here on the show with us tomorrow. So we'll have a Friday night Trouble Mind show. And all right, so we're done, man. You are the best, Jay. Thanks for calling. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Be safe. Okay.
Good night, Mike.
Thanks, man. Good night. All right. Let's go. Let's do it. We're done. We're about finished with this. So when it all comes down to it, like I said, if you go look at the news, they're not talking about this shit. They're not. They won't. They don't. They can't. They're not allowed to. Right. The news cycle has become a joke. It's become like an entertainment sideshow business where they don't really care. They're not news anymore. It's entertainment. It's stoking the algorithm fires of bullshit. This guy said this and that guy said that, and this lady said this, and we're going to pit them against each other, and they're going to spit on each other on live TV. Who cares? Literally, who cares? Couldn't we all do that ourselves? All you got to do is go to Facebook and like put something up there. It'll take you 90 seconds to get somebody shit on you. You know what I mean? That's news now. That's news. But well, okay, whatever. All right, let's play this outro music and just get the hell out of here. So another show tomorrow, a special show on Friday. We will not be on the Fringe FM. We will be just us. It'll be just us for a couple 3 hours. We'll see how long it goes. We'll have Sean from Canada. He's done some extra work behind the scenes. Like I said, he's actually been doing some interviews with some people. And we're going to talk about censorship and some of this other stuff. So I will post it to the Discord tomorrow in the daytime to remind everybody. We have a special Friday night show on Troubled Minds. We'll be on DLive, Facebook, and YouTube, and doing our thing. So please come say hi, be a part of it, and et cetera, so on. But as of right now, we're done. And that is way too loud. Let's turn that down. All right, so as we finish, think about this stuff. Think about these weapons they're not telling us about. Think about the media, how they've lied to us over the course of the last several years. Think about those diplomats and those actual soldiers, those military folks that are probably crippled for the rest of their lives, and they're not telling us a damn thing about it, except now they're blaming Russia. That's the only pertinent leak. No new information regarding the actual weaponry, but we have a name behind it, and it's Russia. Weird, right? Weird. I think it's weird. Anyway, as we finish, you guys know the drill. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Thanks for all the great calls. Thanks for all the great chat. Please leave us a review on iTunes. We're pushing that again because we don't have any. Like we got thousands of people listening. I see the downloads. And we have 35 reviews. So please help. Please go to iTunes. Give us a review. I appreciate that a lot. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Thanks, Sherry. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Paz. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Robert. Thanks, who else? Let's jump over here and say hi to the other chat. Sorry, my workflow is all fucked up because they changed everything. Yeah, anyway, so what's up, Drunken Shaman? I see you there. Let's see, Matt, we got My Best, Scorpio MC, lots of people, NS, you guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out with us. Be sure, be strong, be true. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Pacific, same time. DLive, Facebook, YouTube. We'll see you there. We'll be here with Sean, our favorite Canadian, and we'll be talking some more crazy shit. You guys have a great night. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds, have a fantastic evening.